Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. How is everybody doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I am certainly having a wonderful day. I guess, I don't know. But we're finally live. Oh, I'm muting myself because on my phone the stream is also open. So anyway, here I am. And David is also here with me. And he renamed himself today, as you can see. He's called You're Finished.
I forgot I did that, even though I did it like 4 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, yes. Today we want to talk about very interesting things. First, if somebody can note this hadith quickly, write it down into a collection, just so future generations can remember why exactly I was late, although I scheduled it exactly for this time. And David, how are you doing?
Yo, how you doing?
Good. Today we want to talk about Pearl, also known as JustPearlyThings, who has a channel where she talks a lot about men and women and all the other people. Anyway, what actually happened is she made a tweet several days ago where she asked if Muhammad did indeed marry a 6-year-old. And she then worded it in such a way that Muslims were extremely outraged by that. Very, very outraged. And she followed up and was like, so he did screw a 9-year-old, but the wording was just very, very nice. The reason I'm late is I texted with Pearl earlier, just before we started going live. And she actually asked me when we are going live. I told her in 10 minutes, but you are free to join. She did not respond to that yet. I did send her a link though, so she can come and join us at any moment. But she did text back, so and asked about the time. So maybe it will develop. But we can talk about the issue nevertheless. Meanwhile, while she's thinking about it. David, what's up? What do you want to do?
Yo, you got the tweets to check out? Should we check out the tweets?
Absolutely.
This is very interesting, just how 2005, 2006, this is a situation where, I heard about Muhammad having sex with Aisha, little girl, 9-year-old. I heard about that when I was in prison. I heard it from a Christian who said he read it in a Christian magazine that was criticizing Islam. And I was just like, there's no way. Come on. Don't believe that stuff. You can't believe what you read in a magazine, dude. I was thinking, there's no way. There is no way these inmates would be Muslims if their prophet had sex with a 9-year-old, because that is like foundational in prison. Don't snitch. Don't mess with kids. That's it. Don't snitch. Don't mess with kids. Just by the way, everyone, keep in mind that Islamic morality is worse than prison morality, apparently, because even inmates understand don't have sex with kids. So I thought there's no way. Come on. And then it wasn't until years later. So this was the 1990s. Then years later, got out, was in college with Nabil. And when we started talking about Muhammad, I just looked up, like, what's the earliest source on Muhammad, and the only thing I could come up with was Ibn Ishaq. So I bought a copy of Ibn Ishaq, but then I'm going to Nabil, quoting stuff from Ibn Ishaq, saying, look at what Ibn Ishaq says here. Look at what Ibn Ishaq says here. That contradicts you over here. This contradicts what you said over here. And then he said, but we don't trust Ibn Ishaq. If you're going to come to me about something with Muhammad, it has to be from Sahih al-Bukhari or Sahih Muslim, because those guys had the best methodologies for getting the truth. And it's going there. That's when you find all over the place Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. And then it was like, uh-oh, this is real. So that's creepy. Yeah. But yeah. Yes, Muslims, it is all over your sources.
That is pretty messed up. People express their opinions about Pearl joining us or not. I don't agree with most of what she does and what she says. As far as I have listened to her stuff and also read her tweets, I actually very harshly disagreed with things that she said directly. But that doesn't matter, right? We are going to talk about her. So she should, of course. She can, of course, have the chance to express what exactly she thinks, and it could also be an opportunity for her to directly look at the sources and to see what Islamic sources say, what the facts about Muhammad and his marriage are, and all that. I'm definitely not in agreement with most of what she stands for and does. But
FAS just said, does David agree with her? I have no idea, because beyond these questions, I have no. Oh, I do know one thing about her. I think she's been in, like, she does live streams with, like, is it? I don't know if it's Sneeko in particular, but like that whole, those guys that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming I'm not going to agree with her on some stuff, but I'm like, hey, P, I don't care on this, on her right to ask about Muhammad and Aisha without being threatened. I'm totally, we're totally on the same page here.
Yeah. No, she does have a very problematic affiliations with these people beyond just Sneeko. So I think she also had a lot of attention and gained popularity because she had Andrew Tate on her show and all that. But yeah. Anyway, let's look at what happened here. I forgot what she actually said in the tweet. Now I'm remembering it when I look at it. But
there were several. She was standing her ground a little bit till hijab started threatening her.
Yeah. So the question was, of course, very strange, but that was the first tweet that she made, which was, did Muhammad date a 9-year-old or not? Why is everyone arguing about this? He either did or he didn't. As you can see, this tweet has 1.6 million views, although not a very high number of likes, and quite a number of quotes, because people were very provoked by this and became very angry at it, also because she said date instead of marry or anything else.
And it looks from the tweets, it looks like she just doesn't know. She's like hearing about something with Muhammad and Aisha, and she's not sure what the situation is. So she was probably trying to be nice here, like instead of saying have sex with, which in a different one she says screwed. But it sounds like at this point she's trying to be nice and not, okay, I don't want to say had sex with, but I don't know what the situation is. So was he dating a 9-year-old? What's going on here? Because matter of fact, if someone could have said, you do have the people who say, no, he consummated the marriage way later, and at this point it's just a betrothal. So she might be saying date in place of betrothal or something like that. But the point is, if notice, did Muhammad date a 9-year-old? The correct response would be, no, he did not date a 9-year-old. He married a 6 or 7-year-old, depending on the source, and he had sex with her when she was 9 years old. That's the answer. That's all you need to say. You don't need to flip out about it and get her 1.6 million views on her tweet because you're flipping out. You could just tell her the truth and then see how she reacts.
Yeah, Zandi said it's really disgusting how many conservative men, Christina and Muslim, Christians and Muslim, defend the red pill propaganda.
No, it's Christina. It's Christina and Muslims.
I knew you were going to do that. So, but let me be very honest here. Let me be very blunt. I mean, she is very, very much used to people disagreeing with her very harshly, right? And with back and forth. I think that the things that she says about men and women and the interactions and the roles between them are pretty terrible, are disgusting, in my opinion. And I also stated that very, very openly to her on Twitter. And she's deeply wrong. I think she has some very incredibly bad takes and has kind of become this this poster girl for the woman-hating red pill community, and she's kind of just rolling with that right now. But again, it doesn't matter. Even if I completely disagree with her about everything, I think it would be very good if she actually came here and we talked to her directly. Why not? So this was the tweet that she initially made, and of course, the first response that you can see here is from our dear friend Mohammed Hijab, who said, "Date, are you okay? If you want to ask questions about Islam, I suggest you do it with humility. Otherwise, I will remind you of the rejection you felt in your high school days quicker than you can fit into a size 14 shoe."
Now look at the message there. It's, hey, if you do not tread very carefully when you're talking about anything to do with our prophet, I'm going to rain down insults on you. And he's got multiple, the rejection you felt in your high school days, size 14 shoe stuff, right? He's sending out signals. I'm going to rain down insults and abuse on you.
Yeah.
Unless you get real respectful really, really quickly.
Yeah. Egyptian atheist whom I personally follow said, cool coping mechanism to your swine prophet belongs in a wood chipper.
Look, now notice these are, I don't know who Egyptian atheist is or something like that, but that's someone who understands, right? That's someone who understands when hijab starts threatening you with insults, you got to go right. You got to immediately insult his prophet back, because that's the only thing. If you show weakness and you start backing down, and, oh, I'll be nice now, that only reinforces it, and you're only going to get it worse.
Yeah. Egyptian atheist is a cool guy, by the way. He does just...
well, he's an atheist, so he can't be that cool. And he's Egyptian. That's not good.
That's why he is cool. I posted the response. I posted the hadith. People, I don't know, gave a lot of responses to this. A lot of people said a lot of offense. They took a lot of offense and responded with quite a bit of emotion. Some tried to twist the narrative and kind of try to make it look like this is not true.
Hey, go back up. Go back up.
Where?
Ahmed there, M. Ryan, right there. If Muslim scholars for more than 1,400 years didn't know the true answer and are still debating the truth, what makes you think people in Twitter will know? To us Muslims, we respect the Prophet, his family, and friends. Now, this is amazing. Muslim scholars for more than 14 centuries didn't know. Bull. For 14 centuries, they regarded it as indisputable until people in the West started using it as a criticism of Muhammad. Then suddenly they don't know. It's not for 14 centuries they've been trying to figure this out. For 14 centuries, scholars took this for granted. Ibn Kathir, in his biography of Muhammad, said he couldn't find one scholar ever who doubted that Aisha was 9 when Muhammad had sex with her. And if you look at actual serious Muslim scholars today. Now, we have to be careful here, because you do have people who reject all the sources. You have Shia Muslims and stuff who might reject all of Sunni hadith and so on, and they might be able to get around it. But if you're taking the standard Sunni Islamic approach, this Muhammad's marriage to Aisha is as good as gold, to such an extent that if you denied this, don't tell me you know anything about your prophet. If you're a Sunni Muslim and you believe in Sunni sources and the methodology that was used to get to information about Muhammad, if you say using that method you do not know how old Aisha was, fine, then your entire methodology and all your sources are garbage, because this is in there like swimwear.
Yeah. And here's another person linking to a video where Muhammad Hijab confirms that it is true that he did marry a 6-year-old girl. So anyway, this was the first thing. It caused quite some outrage. I can possibly cover how how much outrage it caused. I think Muhammad Hijab also made a response video. Other people did. A lot of people made posts, and some Muslim scholars started writing long threads and articles and things like that in response to her question, which I mean, all she did is all this is a person in the West, a woman, asks the question, so did Muhammad do this? Yes or no? Why are people discussing this? And the response is just everyone going nuts, and that's quite fun.
And I mean, think about this. If you've heard, I mean, especially the community she's in, now you've got these dudes like Andrew Tate converting to Islam and so on. So these guys are converting to Islam. And then maybe you're following their pages to see how the discussions about Islam are going on. And then you see people pointing out, hey, your prophet had sex with a 9-year-old girl, blah, 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 blah. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You're seeing this. And if you hear this for the first time, this is shocking for the first time you hear it, right? If you've heard, hey, Muhammad is this great moral example, and you're thinking of him up, along the lines of, there's Jesus and there's Buddha and there's Muhammad. You're not thinking, oh yeah, this guy had sex with a prepubescent girl. You're not thinking that. And so when you hear it, that's surprising. And so what does she do? She hears about it. She goes to Twitter. Hey, wait a minute. Is this true? Wait, what is this? Is this true? I see people saying it's true and it's not true. Guys, is this true? And then, hey, I'll
How dare
humiliate
you.
you. I'll humiliate you. I'll remind you of your high school days quicker than you can fit into a size 14 shoe. Ha ha. And you will feel the power of Islam. And we all know what would come next. It would be threats of rape and torture. We know that because we've seen that one before. And then, hey, golden showers. You want golden showers, girl? I'll give you golden showers. And if ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to this show, we are not exaggerating. These are the messages we get. These are the messages we get from Muhammad Hijab. Golden showers. What? You want golden showers? Ah, gimp. So anyway, the point is, he's known as a guy who just heaps insults until someone backs down. And then if you don't back down, then he gives up and he goes around using that pathetic tactic on other people. What you notice, he's not here. He's not here. We're gonna be making fun of him and his stupid fake prophet the entire time. He's not here. Why? You used the methodology, it didn't work. So what does he do? He uses it exclusively on girls now, apparently, because he thinks he can get them to back down more quickly. But yes, this is what Pearl had to look forward to if she's not respectful.
Yeah, very, very interesting guy here. So she later made a tweet in response to, I think the same day, right? In response to the stuff that happened. Okay, so we are torn on if Mother Teresa is a good person and if Muhammad screwed a 9-year-old. The Catholics are saying it's propaganda, so are the Muslims. How am I supposed to know? I Googled it. I'm finding conflicting stuff. It's quite funny that the comparison with Mother Teresa actually came into the play here. I can imagine how that was brought up. But yeah, so she's...
Hey, cool. That hadith there from Cat Canada. That's one of mine. I made that one. That's funny. I always like it when someone uses my stuff. That's cool.
I know.
Because it's like, if I make it and then just I use it, that sucks. But if other people start sharing it, that's cool.
You secretly want everyone to only use what you do, and
only use my stuff, or else I'll humiliate you, Cat Canada. Use the hadith that I posted.
Yeah, very, very.
But by the way, really, really good hadith here. Notice the chapter heading. This is in Sahih al-Bukhari. So for Pearl or anyone else who's tuning in for the first time because you saw that we're going to be discussing this issue. Sahih al-Bukhari is considered by Sunni Muslims to be their most trusted source on the life and teachings of Muhammad, alongside Sahih Muslim, which says the same things. The only disagreements you'll find in these sources is whether Aisha was 6 or 7 when they were married, or when the marriage contract was written, or the betrothal, however you want to put it. But they all agree on when the marriage was consummated. She was 9 years old. But look at this. This is Sahih al-Bukhari. Again, their most trusted source on the life and teachings of Muhammad. Look at the chapter heading. Giving one's young children in marriage is permissible. Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah, and for those who have no monthly courses, talking about not having a monthly menstrual cycle yet, i.e. prepubescent, and even says, i.e. they are still immature. That's Surah 65, verse 4 of the Quran, which is talking about marrying and divorcing prepubescent girls. And then you have, and the iddah, that's the waiting period before you can marry a girl after divorcing her. And the iddah for the girl before puberty. So this is the waiting period for a girl who hasn't reached puberty after she's married and had sex with one husband. How long does she have to wait before she can get married to another husband if her first husband divorces her? And the answer is she has to wait 3 months. Notice, this is a girl. This is talking about a girl who marries a man. He has sex with her. He decides he doesn't like her and he wants to divorce her. So he divorces her. This girl, who still hasn't reached puberty, can then marry another man who can have sex with her and then divorce her. And then she has to wait another 3 months before she can marry another man. Notice, a girl can have 4, 5, 6, 7 different husbands before she's ever reached puberty, according to the Quran. And by the way, we have video footage of Muhammad Hijab admitting that the Quran even allows sex with 5-year-olds. 5-year-old, not our words, his words. And then as an example of marrying a prepubescent girl, we have this hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari 5133, narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, And he
Oh,
consummated
hold
marriage.
on, David. Hold on. I also want to add quickly. We do have that from Mohammed Hijab, but we also have footage of another Muslim apologist, Daniel Hikikachu, saying that it is up for the parents to decide whether they can marry off and have the marriage consummated between a man and their 11-month-old girl. So
Yeah, as long as be very clear, you do need parental consent if you want to have sex with an 11-month-old baby, according to Daniel Hakikachu. And we have Ali Dawa saying on camera that if his daughter, now keep in mind, as horrifying as this sounds, at least Ali Dawa was saying wait for puberty. According to Muhammad Hijab and the Quran and Muhammad, you don't have to wait for puberty. But Ali Dawa is something special. He's better than he's better than all the rest. He says that if his daughter reached puberty at the age of 9, he would tell her she's ready to be married. These are the champions of Dawah. These are the champions of Dawah. And by the way, this is the reason people like Pearl are hearing about these things, because these guys are going around running their mouths about it. Now it's becoming common knowledge, and people are shocked to hear that Muhammad, who's the leader of some religion, is also apparently a pedophile.
Yeah, which says a lot of good things about Islam. I forgot to add this here. Pearl's reaction to this tweet by Muhammad Hijab was just, now I am being threatened for asking a question.
Yep, you are. That's what. Welcome to Islam.
And I didn't show her this. You haven't seen anything yet.
That's funny. Get on your knees for your master.
It's really ridiculous. Yeah, lots of responses. Two more, but there is one more thing that I missed.
It's funny. My response somewhere was hey, I don't like this hijab guy threatening women for asking questions. I think I have to. Should I make a Quranagami Bugatti for Andrew Tate and attribute it to Muhammad Hijab? Everyone said yes. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, there will be. I have to work up my nerve, just because an actual Bugatti is going to be a nightmare to make with with paper. But I will do it. I will make a Quranagami. That's origami using the Quran. Matter of fact, maybe I'll use Surah 65 verse 4. Maybe I'll use that page of the Quran to make an origami Bugatti for Andrew Tate. The only question will be, what color should it be?
Yeah. You can decide that. Here's Pearl saying, others are saying it is okay he screwed a 9-year-old because it was a different time. Okay, I could get maybe 13 or 12, but 9?
Notice, by the way, that is absolutely, one, that is the correct response from a Muslim perspective, in the sense that, oh yes, but it was a different time back then. That's the best thing you can say without denying your sources. It was a different time. So marrying is culturally relative. It is always weird hearing Muslims who should be moral absolutists, retreating to moral relativism and cultural relativism to defend their points. But then she makes what should be an obvious response. Okay, if you're saying it was a different culture, a different time, I get maybe 13 or 12. Why? She's speaking as a woman who knows when girls mature and stuff. And it's okay. Girls go through a lot of changes at 12 or 13. 9-year-olds? No, they're still little girls. They're indisputably little girls. So she's saying, okay, maybe if I really stretched it, I could say 13 or something like that. But 9? You're not even in double digits. Not even in double digits. My goodness, man.
They're
defending this.
Yeah. Lots of people kind of became confused from what she said. So she said that, guys, I meant like, I thought they lived till.
She thought they lived till 18.
Logically, I understand. Okay, that needs a clarification here. When people say, when it is said that people had much shorter lifespans in those times in the past, what that means is, that the death rates were very high. So people used to die at very early ages much more easily, because they didn't have, the advanced resources that we have today in terms of medicine and the quality of life. Because the death rates are very high, the average lifespan is severely low compared to today. or child mortality. Children die immediately as soon as they're born, so that is counted to the average. But the way that it is explained is, if a person makes it above a certain age, they have
you're
a
correct.
chance of living
Mhm.
quite a long life till, I don't know, 60s, 70s. And even in the case of Aisha, for example, she, according to the Muslim tradition, died in her 60s. Muhammad died in his 60s. The other wives died, some of them died older, much older than 60, I think. Yeah.
So the point there is, I mean, I've never heard anyone say they thought that people lived till like 18 or something like that. But you do see life expectancies, in the mid 30s or 40s or something like that, and you think, oh, they didn't live very long. But yeah, those are when you're factoring in infant mortality, 2-year-olds dying, 3-year-olds dying. Very easy to die back then. You didn't have, hospitals and so on. And so the life expectancy, if you see something like an average life expectancy of 37 years, that's factoring in the people who die as children. So if you survived childhood, all of a sudden you end up with much higher life expectancies. And so the point is, you're talking about Muhammad. He's a grown man. You're talking about him marrying Aisha. So these are people who obviously didn't die when they were 1 or 2 or 3, or, die as infants. And you just can't use the excuse, oh, he had to marry her when she was 6 because of the life expectancy. She's already survived childhood. And so that's not an excuse. And he was an old man, so he was going to die. So why are you marrying, especially for a guy who makes it a rule in the Quran that you can't marry any of his wives after him? He's an old man marrying a young girl.
Yeah, I just uploaded the video which I'm about to publish, where I explained that same thing. The whole idea that it was different back then, people had to marry and so on. None of that makes sense in context with Muhammad, who he already had a wife at the point that when he married Aisha. So his first wife was, according to the traditions, older than him. That is not really verified. As soon as his first wife died, or after his first wife died, he married another wife who was older. And then he married Aisha as his third wife in total, and second wife at that time, at the same time. So it wasn't and he was in his 50s. It's not like he had to desperately marry and reproduce or anything, which is why he had to, he was young himself as well, so he had to quickly marry somebody. There was no necessity at all. And also they didn't have children. It was not a fertility issue. And she lived after him for 40 plus years, which means she lived childless without marrying. What is the point?
Mm-hmm. And by the way, notice how the evidence and the responses to different things always destroy some of their claims about the time. So think about this. The claim that we hear from Muslims is the pagans, we just dealt with this recently. The pagans, the polytheists were so intolerant. They're just plotting to kill the Muslims left and right, ready to go on a killing spree at any given moment. It's like, wait a minute. And Muhammad's just starting to marry women at this time when he thinks he's going to be brutally murdered.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's sitting here, marriages and so on. Seems like he doesn't think he's about to get massacred. You got to love Egyptian atheist response here, AP, since you're an atheist and you can deal with such language. But okay, so because it's funny because he has the exact right instinct. Hey, if someone is threatening someone. So, I mean, he sees this, he's reacting. He's not using the same words I would use, but it's the same thinking as me. She asks a question and people give her a response. And then she says, okay, she's thinking her way through their response. They say, it's a different time. Say, okay, I understand it being a different time, but 9, seriously? And then Muhammad Hijab, be careful how you speak about our holy prophet. Otherwise, we won't hesitate to humiliate you. Like, my natural inclination is, oh, wait, you don't want her to insult your child molesting, murdering rapist of a fake prophet? I would instantly want to say something like that. And but yeah, your atheist buddy there,
he already gave the response very, very, very well.
And notice Hijab doesn't even react to it, right? He's like, oh, here's someone who's on to my method and who knows all you have to do is start insulting my prophet and I'll back down like a coward. It's amazing. But I mean, think about this. Think about what's going on there. Now everyone's finding out about Muhammad and Aisha. Muhammad Hijab is still trying to go around. Maybe I can threaten everyone into shutting up about this. Maybe if I insult people into shutting up about this, and that's going to work with some people. It's not going to work with other people. They're just going to make fun of Muhammad even more. But then all the people who are backing down from this method are going to realize, oh, this is the way to go. Have you seen little Wyatt? This little Wyatt is like a little 12-year-old. He has like a toy review channel or something like that. But he posted something about picture of it was in response to Andrew Tate's Quran desecration challenge. No one will do with this with the Quran. This little 12-year-old kid, he does it. And then people dox him, Muslims dox him and say, this is where you could go kill this kid. And he responds by rolling up the Quran as a cigar and smoking it in a video. And they instantly shut their mouths, right? It's like, oh, threatening this little kid isn't going to work. He's just smoking. He's just rolling up the Quran and smoking it. Okay, let's go threaten someone else. That's what everyone needs to do. And then they stop using this stupid childish threats.
Reminds me of Destiny. Remember how he responded to being warned about Muhammad?
Yeah, he just dialed it up. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. That was hilarious. I was trying to find it now, but whatever. Let's move on. So this is how that developed, and people got angry again, and it just never stops. They just keep getting angry. Others started saying, "Oh, no. You need to ask the real people. The real people will tell you that this is not really true, that this is historically inaccurate, and stuff like that." So, and this is what happened here as well. I took the opportunity and shared this image again, which I made with the help of Mid-Journey AI, asked it to create an image of Muhammad and Aisha, since I don't want to use a real girl to depict her. And one of those responses was even by a modern, I don't even think she's Muslim, I don't know, but she responded with, Muslim scholars still argue about her age. Some claim she was 4, 6.
Who says she's 4? Now I'm very critical, but even I haven't seen 4.
Yeah. So why would you post this as truth? The reality, no one knows. And I don't see
don't know
why you're pointing that. I don't see the point of this post other than to paint Islam as a pedo religion, which many Islamophobes use to attack Muslims. And I said very clearly.
Wait, hold on. All you did was post a picture of, basically the size of Muhammad and basically the size of Aisha. When that's more like a 9-year-old versus a little 6-year-old would have been even smaller. And she's saying, why are you posting this portraying Muhammad as a pedophile? So she seems to understand that, yes, if he married a 6-year-old, had sex with a 9-year-old, that would indicate that he's a pedophile. So it's built into her mind that, yes, this would indicate pedophilia. That's interesting.
Yeah, but you can't say that. No, I also pointed out that this is the vastly agreed information that we have in the Muslim sources, and most of them.
I just thought I'm gonna start saying, guys, we don't know how old Aisha was when Muhammad married her. Some say 6, some say 7. That's it. Those are the only 2 options. We do know how old she was when he had sex with her. But I was thinking I could use there. We don't know whether she was 6 or whether she was 7, because we've got Sahih narrations that say both.
This is funny. Here's a bot on Twitter that has become very popular. People just tag this bot to explain to them what the tweet is talking about. And this bot here just says, Prophet Muhammad was a religious leader who lived a long time ago. He married a young girl named Aisha when she was 6 years old. So even the bot knows it.
Even the bot knows more than these online liars.
Yeah. That's very, 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 very cool. Anything else to add here?
Someone just used, if you scroll down, I think someone used pedophiled as something that happened. Pedophiled her. I like that. I haven't seen it used like that. He pedophiled her. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah.
Muhammad pedophiled a little girl. That's good.
Also, somebody else who came into the discussion was none other than Tristan Tate.
Oh, yeah. Brilliant Tristan. A bunch of people responded to him because there's so many things here. One, he jumps in, and he's already defending. He's already started defending child marriage. So it's amazing how quickly now people start defending child marriage. And two, he's using the exact same responses we get from the Dawa guy. So it's not like Tristan Tate is sitting around reading all day and, oh, Les, I'm reading the biography of Princess Isabella, and hey, wait a minute, she's 6, right? He's copying this stuff from the Dawa guys. And so yeah, it's just funny now that the Dawa guys are running around to all their social media amplifiers. These guys that they're all partnered with, hey, we'll defend you from criticism of trafficking if you defend our prophet whenever people make fun of him, and instantly starts defending child marriage. But I made a video response to that. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. So Tristan's response was, what about Princess Isabella when she married Richard II of England? And then he linked to a Wikipedia article about Richard II marrying Princess Isabella when she was 6 years old. And he puts it on the screen. You see, she was 6 years old. If you actually go to the article, it says because she was 6, the marriage was never consummated. They never consummated the marriage sexually. And it specifically says because canon law, so church law, wouldn't allow consummation before the age of 12. And so the marriage was never consummated. And it says he treated her like an adopted daughter throughout their marriage.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, that's what you're supposed to do. If you're in some sort of political situation and people arrange a political marriage to unite families and so on, to consolidate power, and you're married to a 6-year-old and you're an adult, the appropriate response is, I'm treating you like a daughter. I understand our families did this, but I'm treating you like a daughter. Under no circumstance I'm going to have sex with this little girl. And that's the attitude. But still, every Muslim seems to think, oh, yes, everyone is boning little 6-year-olds back then. When you even read the article and the example that Tristan Tate gave, and it's saying, no, they didn't consummate marriage before 12 was the minimum. Then there are the other factors you would want to include, but 12 is the minimum. It's you do not think about having sex with a 6-year-old, a 9-year-old, or even an 11-year-old. Stay away from them. And yet almost every Muslim you run into, because the Dawa guys thinks, oh yeah, everyone is having sex with 6, 5, 6, 7-year-olds back then. Sick.
I have no idea who Hunter Avalon is, but somebody just drew my attention to checking that out, and
I've heard that name before. Who is that?
Apparently he's a political commentator on YouTube. I just saw this tweet immediately. My marriage ending, how do you say this word?
Amicably.
Amicably has nothing to do with my stance on Islam. Besides, at least my wife and I can come to agreeable terms, whereas you, as a Muslim, has a wife still in diapers, just like your prophet. Death be upon him.
Oh, that's not nice.
That is pretty messed up.
But this is I do find this interesting because we've been through this roughly 700 times. Surah 6, verse 108 says, don't start insult battles with people who are going to insult your God and your religion in return. And they've got the most eminently mockable prophet in history. And they're the most sensitive, fragile, easily offended people in history. It would stand to reason, take the advice of your God and don't make fun of people who are instantly going to make fun of your fake prophet in return. But they can't help themselves. What about your marriage? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, at least my wife's not in diapers like your prophet. And they don't get it. And then, oh, how dare. And then they'll run out, look what he's saying about our prophet. Like, you guys, I don't know, man.
I have no idea. I didn't come across this guy's tweets at all. I don't even know who this is. But this guy, Faris Hamadi, who was a scholar in Dubai, he made a tweet. He made a thread about how the marriage between Aisha and Muhammad was completely normal. And this guy then responded to it and said, this is the most embarrassing attempt to defend a blatant act of child abuse at the hands of some scumbag, Prophet Muhammad, death be upon him. And
tell us what you really think, Hunter. Don't stop holding back and sugarcoating your words.
Wait a minute. Is this real? Is this guy is he a social democrat? This is getting really weird. That's what I just read. But somebody tell me if you know who this guy is. But it's getting really interesting that lately a lot of the harsh criticism of Muhammad and Islam is coming from people who are on the left of politics, which
he's making some correct points here. That is a concern with if it's going to be, if we're going to end up, how do I put this? In recent years, Islam has aligned with the left because they were convinced that the left would protect Muhammad from criticism, and so they had this alliance. And that's breaking down. And now Muslims are going against the left because of LGBTQ stuff. But now leftists are jumping on them. They are mad that they're not holding their ground on LGBTQ stuff, and they're going against the left. And so now they're blasting away at Muhammad for having sex with a little girl. But then people on the right now want to align with Islam to go against LGBTQ stuff. And I guess the expectation is, well, if you guys protect Muhammad from criticism about Aisha, then we'll help you against the LGBTQ stuff. So are y'all on board? Matt Welch, Ben Shapiro, y'all on board lining up with us? It's going to be interesting how this plays out.
I want to read this quickly.
He's making good. I just glanced at it, but he's making good.
Allow me to easily dismantle every single stupid thing you said. I don't care if it was the norm. Slavery was the norm also. Doesn't make it right. Dumb point. A period does not mean the girl is mentally able to consent to sex. Plus, at the age of 9 or 10, the girl would face serious life-threatening risks if she were to give birth.
Side note, guys, do not, when they tell you, oh, but she reached puberty, do not take that for granted. You need anytime someone says anything about Muhammad and Aisha, ask for a source. Ask for a source because people, we've got precisely the opposite. We've got sources saying that she hadn't reached puberty. Matter of fact, the one we just read from Sahih al-Bukhari 5133, where Bukhari introduces it by tying it to 65:4 and saying the girl before puberty, and that's he put that as his chapter info for that hadith. So he's taking it for granted she hadn't reached puberty.
This is funny. I had no idea about this guy, but this is what I'm just seeing here.
Yeah, who is he?
Is an American YouTuber who is known for his political videos. He was a leading figure in the anti-SJW community on YouTube until evolving his views in late 2019. His channel was rising to 700,000 subscribers until he lost over 100,000 due to his shift in politics. After a long process of introspection, Avalon left the right and called himself a free thinker, then a social democrat. This entailed massive subscriber losses, online fights with right-wing commentators, and denouncement of former acquaintances. Hunter's first Twitter account was banned in 2019. He then made a second account in 2020, which was banned 2 years later. Wow, I had no idea.
He looks young.
He's 26 years old.
Oh, he's just a kid.
Wow,
he's just a kid. He didn't know anything. Why? No wonder he changed his political views. He'll probably change them 10 more times.
Shut up. But yeah, so let's continue here. Even if his enemies didn't mention it, it's irrelevant. Plus, you just said it was common at the time, so his enemies probably didn't see it as something worth attacking him over. You debunked your own argument here, dipshit. My current mind, with current scientific understanding of how brains develop and the long-lasting trauma of child abuse, is seeing something from long ago as also being bad because we have the education to understand this even better nowadays. Epstein also had sex with adults. It doesn't negate him raping kids. This is such a stupid point. You should sterilize yourself.
No, ouch. But by the way, you can tell everything he's responding to here. So I didn't even need to see what he's responding to. We've heard this a million times before. So one of the claims is, point 5 here. He's responding to the claim, Muhammad couldn't be a pedophile because he also had sex with lots of grown women. So the idea is if you have sex with 10 5-year-olds, but you also have sex with a 20-year-old, you're not a pedophile because you also had sex with an adult. Guys, that is not how the mental disorder is classified. There's a distinction. Under the category of pedophilic disorder, you have exclusive type and non-exclusive type. Exclusive type pedophiles are exclusively attracted to children. Non-exclusive type pedophiles are attracted to children and adults. They still are both considered to have pedophilic disorder because that's what the word means. That's what it means for a grown man to be attracted to a little kid.
Yeah. So this is
there you go. See, exclusive. You have it right there. Exclusive type, non-exclusive type.
Yeah, I included this in a video that I just finished today. But here it says exclusive type attracted only to children, and non-exclusive type, which needs to be specified when diagnosing somebody with pedophilic disorder, which is officially recognized as a disorder by the DSM-5. So it doesn't mean if somebody is attracted to children but also has relationships with adults, that does not mean they are therefore not a pedophile. It just means that they are non-exclusive. So that's the science of it. 6, why would Allah order Muhammad, death be upon him, to abuse an immature child and risk her life if she were to give birth? Allah sounds like a scum. Newsflash, he is. Whether or not Islam makes child rape permissible is irrelevant. I love how we capitalize child rape. Permissible is irrelevant.
We should start calling it child rape, because that's what it is.
Because here, hold on, David. Fareed said it's
parental
not child
consent.
rape. Yeah. Fareed said, how is it child rape if there is parental consent? So you can't just say that. Permissible is irrelevant, because here you are, a cult member defending child abuse because ma'Allah. In short, child rape is wrong, regardless of what your irrelevant, irrational, ancient fairy tale book says. Now F off. So
this guy. That escalated quickly. Wonder how this guy ever got banned from YouTube.
Wow, I didn't expect this at all. So really, really interesting performance here. Very nice.
Wow, Aurora just said a Muslim man's treasures between his daughter's legs. I am horrified at when someone like Fareed or something says, "What if they have parental consent?" And then Daniel Hakikachu. 11-month-old, but you got to get her parents' consent. And the idea is like these parents are all, experts in morality and what's right and wrong, and capable of making decisions about whether to give their 11-month-old or their 5-year-old or whatever to some creepy old dude for sex, and not realizing, guys, they're screwed up parents. There are parents who sell their kids, who pimp their kids out for drugs and so on. Their parents.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you saw in Afghanistan, it was really, really messed up that parents who did not want to give their 6-year-old daughters to some creepy old rich guy to have sex with, but the alternative was starving, and so they're giving their 6-year-old daughters to creepy old dudes to bone their daughters, because starvation was the alternative, and so on. And so, guys, it's not. Don't act like, parents know best what's in the best interest of their daughter.
That's exactly the point. Like, people respond with stuff like, it's a Muslim society, Muslim parents, and they will learn and this and that. The parents will know best. It doesn't matter what kind of society it is. Let's put that nonsense aside. It doesn't matter if it's a religious society, if it's X religion, Y religion, Z religion. It doesn't matter if it's an irreligious society. You simply cannot, in any society, rely on the idea of parents having complete, full authority, full control over such a thing like marriage, even if it's at a very young age, even if it's a child or a toddler or a baby. It simply doesn't work. It is idiotic. You will end up with people abusing this, doing horrifying things. I mean, parents can be reckless and callous. They may want to get rid of their child and just marry that child off. And you allow that because you think, parents know best. Well, parents don't always know best. You simply can't do that.
And plus, parents are easily influenced by the dominant ideology. And it's not like parents fully informed of the medical risks and health risks of children getting pregnant before their hips have widened and their birth canals widen and so on. They're not aware of that. If you've got all these Dawa guys going around, the Prophet did it. The Prophet married her off when she was 9, so it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good. It's great. It's wonderful. And then, okay, then there's nothing wrong with me giving my 9-year-old to that creepy old Heaven's Gate looking dude over there. And then they do it, and then their daughters die from that stuff, because you get. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Puberty is a process. It takes a while, right? You don't just you got your first period and now you're a grown woman. That takes a few years, right? So these guys have the mentality: old enough to bleed, old enough to breed. You've got your period, now you're ready. Now you're ready for sex and marriage. No, the process has begun, Now the girl grows into a woman. You're jumping on her as soon as you see blood, and oh, now we can jump on her. And you don't realize, okay, her hips haven't widened, her birth canal hasn't widened. But she is capable of getting pregnant. She is capable of getting pregnant, but her body's not ready for it yet. And so you get her pregnant, and then you end up with all sorts of medical health problems for the baby if the baby survives, problems with the daughter, infant mortality shoots up, mortality of the mothers shoot up, and you're saying, but we need to do this because Muhammad did. And I'd say you got problems there.
Big problems. But so Tristan came at this. It was a different time, 7th century. You live in England, right? Google how old. The issue here is the response to that is another response is also quite simple, which is on the one hand you have Muhammad, who is supposed to be the perfect moral conduct for all Muslims to follow. On the other hand, you have Richard II of England, who is not a central figure in a religion and who is not a perfect moral example that everyone is supposed to follow today. Why in the world are you comparing these two things? Richard II did things in his own time that he considered right or wrong, or that his family considered right or wrong. And the royal families, they what they cared about was to protect their royal marriage ties, and to to marry accordingly, to protect their lineage and all that. They didn't care about any of this stuff. You cannot compare this guy to supposedly Allah's perfectly guided moral character, who is supposed to be taken as an example by everyone, everywhere, at every point in time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. It's like, I don't know anything about Richard II.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine I criticize something. Hey, that guy axe murdered someone the other day. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have done that axe murdering. And imagine Tristan Tate responding, oh, but Richard II was an axe murderer. So how can you condemn it? I could condemn it for both of them. I could condemn it for. Where do you get this idea that if some king at some point, I'm pretty sure kings have done a lot of screwed up stuff that I am under no obligation to then defend. You sound like an idiot, Tristan. Not surprising given the intellectual perspicacity of your brother. But what's crazy is, so it wouldn't matter if Richard II was an axe murderer. It's got nothing to do with us and our beliefs. But then when we actually look up Richard II, he sounds like a million times better and more moral than Muhammad, because he's like, oh, they just gave me a 6-year-old. I'm not touching her. I'm treating her like a daughter for our entire marriage. And that's all. He never consummated the marriage. Until his death, they never consummated the marriage because he treated her like a daughter.
That's wild stuff. He also made another tweet, which is here. Made a follow-up tweet as well, where he talked about how Mother Mary was also young, and it's just completely dumb. And he says then, look these things up.
Look, that's where he gave the Wikipedia article, which if you go to it, it would be comical if it wasn't so sad and massively deceptive. Some Dawa guy fed him this response, right? Some Dawa guy said, Andrew, Tristan, could you respond? Can you give this response? What about Isabella? Ha ha! And here's the link to Wikipedia. And this genius here didn't even bother to read the article about how Richard is exactly the opposite of Muhammad. Vastly more moral, never consummated the marriage. This man would not have sex with a child. And yet Tristan shared this, because that's what these guys are now. They're the amplifiers of Dawa deception.
Wait, this is funny.
I just have to bring up, man. I mean, think about this. Oh, we're the top. Geez, we've escaped the matrix. Okay, what do you do now? We defend child molesters by lying. That's what we do. That's what you do when you escape the matrix. When you escape the matrix, you now defend pedophilia through deception.
Yeah,
that's escaping the matrix. Like, how is this not a joke? I mean,
it's wild stuff. It's wild stuff. He also made another tweet, which I actually
is that the Isabella one? Were you looking for the part?
Yeah, I think this is...
Scroll down.
Well, isn't it this here?
Oh yeah, there. Yeah, you got it. The French court requested that his widow be returned to France.
Is that it?
No. Scroll to that right there. Picture.
What picture? What are you talking about?
Where are you? What article are you on?
Oh, wait a minute.
Were you on Tristan's article?
Amateur hour. When she married, I went on the Wikipedia article. It's not the same. Anyway, man. So it wasn't consummated. That's what we're talking about. I wanted to actually look for the different thing here.
Well, she got married to someone else later.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to look at this one, which is he said, wait until you find out how old the Virgin Mary was when God impregnated her. Joseph also married her. Please look this all up.
Okay, Tristan, where are we going to look up the age of Mary? Where are we going to look that up, buddy?
Look this all up.
Are we going to look it up on a Dawa site, which is, according to the Catholic Encyclopedia, she was 12? Oh, that's great, because I just went to the Catholic Encyclopedia and it says nothing like that, and it doesn't, and it says we don't know. So what do you got? Oh, you're lying. Great. So notice, is this a guy who actually researched the age of Mary and now he's displaying his knowledge? No. A Dawa guy fed him this response. Okay, Tristan, now say this. And okay, you guys are paying our rent here. So, I mean, I can't imagine like a more, these are the guys bragging about, hey, we've got the good life. It's like, how pathetic can you be that you are now an errand boy for pedophiles?
Wait a minute.
Tristan Tate is an errand boy for pedophiles.
David, wait a minute.
What's up?
Where did you go?
I'm right here.
No, not you. Pearl just popped into. Pearl, come back. Okay, there she is. This is funny. Wait, Pearl is joining us. Are you ready? She's joining us. Hey.
Oh, she's muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted. It says.
Oh, still don't hear.
No, we can't hear you. Hello. We don't hear anything. Nope. Still no sound. It says there's no mic connected. I don't know what you're connecting with. Oh, lost her. Well, she might try to come back. I don't know. That's funny. She actually decided to join.
That's interesting. I figured the regular streamers would be way beyond us, and because we have technical problems all the time because we don't know what we're doing. But,
well, I think she's just going live from her.
Yeah, no, you could always just have a new setup for different situations.
Yeah, she's just coming from a different source, I guess, from a phone or something. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Pearl, if you decide to come back, if you figure it out, come back. You can, if you have a different way to join. There she is again. Let's see. Hey.
Hi, I'm back.
There we go.
Hi. Okay, now we can hear you.
I was on my phone before, but it wasn't connecting, so I got my phone.
Oh, okay. Wow, it's great that you actually came. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. You guys made it easy. I was like, oh, there's a link there. I'll pop in for a minute.
Oh yeah. I sent that to you earlier.
Yeah. So, are you? We know from experience, if you say how old was Aisha when Muhammad had sex with her, you're going to get a variety of responses. Have you reached clarity on the issue, or is there?
No, I haven't. That's the crazy thing. It's like I was hoping to just get an answer, but it's like the ones, because I've asked this question before, and then they would tell me one thing, and I'd think, okay, that's it. But then I would see something else, and I just was looking for a simple yes or no answer. But then I didn't even know that saying dated is offensive. Like, I guess that's an offensive. I'm like, I live in 2023. I know maybe, they didn't do that then, but, know.
Yeah.
I found out a couple things. I found out one, don't use the term dated or screwed. That's That is bad etiquette. I could see, I have a bit of a mouth on me, so I could see screw. All right.
That's rule number 1 and rule number 2. Don't say dated. Don't say screwed.
Yeah, well, I was like, I guess if someone said, did Mary ever screw Joseph? I'm not like that uptight. I would answer.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I wouldn't even know the answer. I think they did, right? They had more kids. But I was like, I could see maybe how that'd be a bit disrespectful. But, the death threats I thought were a bit much. I was like,
that's when a question already came in which says, please ask if she has had any death threats from her tweet.
I have. I was like, wow, I hope they don't do that.
No, just so you know, we call these guys keyboard jihadis. If these guys were really, wanting to go out and slaughter people, they'd go out and join a group or something like that. But no, that's
too worried, but
you don't need to be. It's a method of controlling people.
The fat chicks death threat me all the time, so it's not my first rodeo with the death threats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Islam is extremely, especially different. With Islam, if you just open your mouth and ask a few questions, you will start getting the death threats, and they will not stop if you keep talking about it. But there's often mostly nothing to worry about.
Well, I actually I like, and that's what I was saying in the tweets. I really think that a lot of like Muslims that I've met have been super based when it comes to traditional relationships, more so is what we talk about on my show. So I just really wanted the answer to the question, but I never really, I will say some people gave it to me, but then the people that gave it to me conflicted, and I'm just not a historian like that when it comes to religion.
Yeah, I can actually break down the entire situation for you in a nutshell, because I've had debates on this. I've had public debates on this, and been dealing with this for a long time. And I was like you at one point, in the sense that when I heard this for the first time once, and I'm like, there's no way that the founder of one of the major world religions had sex with a 9-year-old. No way. And then a few years later, I actually read it in their sources, and I'm like, whoa, how does no one know about this? How am I hearing it? That should be the first thing I hear about a guy, is that he had sex with a 9-year-old girl. But here's the situation. You have different groups of Muslims. The vast majority of Muslims, you're talking 85 to 90% of Muslims, are Sunni Muslims, and they go with Sunni sources. If you go with Sunni sources on this, their best sources are in unanimous agreement that Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. The only difference you get is when he married her, was she 6 or 7? Some of their best narrations say she was 6, and some say she was 7. I actually understand that. If I'm thinking back to things I did when I was 6 or 7, some of them, I don't know if I was 6 or 7 or something like that. So I get that discrepancy. But they're unanimous on the idea that she was 9 years old. So here are the different categories you have of belief on this. You can have people who reject all the historical sources about Muhammad. So there are Muslims who are Quran only Muslims. They don't believe in any of the historical sources about Muhammad. They just believe in the Quran. You do have an issue in the Quran. Maybe we'll get to that. We don't have to, but the Quran actually justifies sex with prepubescent girls. But even if we toss that aside and they reinterpret that, there are Muslims who reject the sources, and so they wouldn't say they know how old Aisha was, because they don't have any sources on it, because they reject the sources. You also have Shia Muslims who don't believe in the Sunni sources, and so if the Sunni sources say over and over again Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 or 7, then consummated the marriage when she was 9, they can say we don't care what the Sunni sources is. But that's a small minority of Muslims who would even have that as an option. The vast majority of Muslims, again, 85 to 90%, are Sunni Muslims, and they're stuck with Sunni sources. And you don't have to believe every little thing in a Sunni source. If you're a Sunni Muslim, you could say, well, I don't really believe that hadith. This one is so widespread. It's so prevalent across their sources that if you go to their actual scholars who aren't trying to water things down, they say this is as good as gold. If we know anything about Muhammad, we know that he had sex with a 9-year-old girl. So according to the sources, that's what happened. But you also have tons of Muslims, even Sunni Muslims, who've never read their sources. So they don't know what's in there. They're listening to other people. And in addition, you have people who just can't bring themselves to believe that Muhammad would do that. So Dr. Shabir Ali, he's a scholar, and he'll tell you, I just can't believe that Muhammad would do something like that, and therefore I have to reject these sources, even though the sources would compel someone to believe that. He's just, I can't take this guy as a moral pattern and think that he did that. So I'm going to reject the idea that he did that. And then, in addition to all that, you have people who know that she was 9, but who will lie about it. And so that's kind of why you have this discrepancy. You have people who know what's in the sources and speak accurately of what's in the Sunni sources. You have Muslims who don't accept those sources. And so they're kind of free to reject that age. But the overwhelming vast majority of Muslims are bound to sources that take this as an indisputable fact of history. But then you have people who might reject it for another reason, like if they believe it is morally wrong, and so they can't believe it. And then you've got people who are just lying about it. But that's
wow.
That's
you have the very clear sources here.
This is from the Sunni.
This is from the Sunni. This is called the Hadith. So Sunni Muslims regard this as authentic reports that tell us everything about what Muhammad did and said in his lifetime. And this here is a report. This information is verified unanimously by Muslim scholars throughout history. It has been accepted as vastly as true, and it tells us from Aisha that he married her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated the marriage when she was 9 years old. And a little bit later, Muhammad dies, and she lives for the rest of her life of 40 plus years by herself, because the Quran also says that it is forbidden to marry his wives after he dies. So the issue here is not even that this is a necessity back then, because Muhammad also had wives before Aisha. He also had wives together with Aisha. He had multiple wives. He had like 9 at the same time, 11 in total, and he would visit all of them in one night, as the reports say. And this has been accepted by Sunni. He had 11 in total, and he had 9 at the same time. Yeah.
How would he have time to visit 11 in one night?
It's very creepy. It says he would. Yeah, that was actually brought. We can look at the source.
I'm not even saying creepy. I'm just thinking like he must have had a great time management.
That's what.
Imagine like 11 wives. That's like.
They said they bragged about the idea that he had the sexual strength of 30 men. That's what they said. He had the sexual strength of 30 men. They believed he was like miraculously powered to have sex with 9 wives in a single night.
Well, I wasn't even talking about the like sex part. I was just thinking like, you know, because I like to talk about my day and stuff. So you'd like, every girl.
not Muhammad.
I'm just thinking like, imagine you talk to each girl for like 30 minutes to an hour. It's like even.
Well, the worst part of that, because I mean, at this time they are all his wives, so he's having sex with all his wives. But it would say that he would have sex with all his wives in one night, but only take 1 bath. That's kind of the most disgusting part for me. It's like,
here's a source. It says the Prophet used to visit all his wives in a round during the day and night, and they were 11 in number. It was asked, did he have the strength for it? And Anas replied, we used to say that the Prophet was given the strength of 30 men. So. Another report says 9 wives at the same time only, not 11. So.
And this is the Sunni.
Yeah.
Sunni.
This is you can see down at the bottom Sahih al-Bukhari 268. That's from Sahih al-Bukhari.
So
that's their best source.
This like their version of the Bible? So like how the Bible like we had the church pick all the different stuff that talked about Jesus, and they're like, this is from God. Is this the same thing?
In Islam, it's a little bit different. So Muslims have primarily the Quran, which is considered the Holy Scripture that was directly sent by or spoken by Allah through an angel to Muhammad, who then verbally transmits it to the people around him, who then memorize it and write it down and later compile it. So that is the word of Allah. But then we have these sources. Sahih al-Bukhari is a hadith source. These are the primary sources about what Muhammad did in his lifetime and what he said. These are not considered, the word of Allah directly, but these are considered very high quality, highly reliable, authentic reports about the things that Muhammad actually did and said. And the significance of those is the Quran says that Muhammad is a great moral example for all Muslims to follow, that they should obey him and not disagree with him in anything he says. So Muslims regard everything that Muhammad did as an example, and cannot say that he did something highly immoral and highly wrong. Therefore, Sunni Muslims will look at this and will consider him right in marrying a little child, having 11 wives, and all that.
And those are the ones that you said 85 to 90% of Muslims are.
Yeah. So
Or the
all,
Sunni.
yeah, all Muslims are going to agree on the Quran. And what you have is, so the Quran, as AP pointed out, the Quran is supposedly the speech of Allah. So there's supposedly, it's not like the Bible that where human beings are inspired to write something. It's supposedly direct speech from Allah delivered to Muhammad through the angel Gabriel. So Gabriel's just showing up saying, Muhammad, remember this, Muhammad, recite this. And then people are trying to memorize it. But so there's no, supposedly there's no human component to the Quran. It is the perfect speech of Allah. But in Allah's supposedly perfect speech, Muslims are told that they also have to submit to all of Muhammad's decisions, everything Muhammad decides, and also they have to follow his pattern of conduct. Well, Muhammad's decisions are not in the Quran. That's the speech of Allah. So they have to go outside of the Quran to find out what Muhammad taught. And when they go outside of the Quran to find out what Muhammad taught and what Muhammad did so that they can follow his example, they have to go to these collections of the hadiths. Notice this is volume 8. So there are 9 volumes just in Bukhari. And there are 4 to 7 volumes of Sahih Muslim, depending on which edition you get. So there are these massive multi-volume collections of stories, and they're usually arranged topically. Like, here's everything Muhammad did in war. Here's everything Muhammad did, with his wives and things like that. And so you can actually go to these sources to find out. But notice there are these massive multi-volume collections. Your average Muslim is not going through all this. They just listen to their leaders, but their leaders who actually know what's in the sources, they know that this story is true, at least according to the sources. But not all of them want Muslims to know about it, knowing that this could be a sensitive issue for them. So,
yeah. So what would they say? Because I'd imagine, like, if we had a Muslim here, they would be arguing, because this is kind of what happened. Like, I'll talk to someone that knows more than me, and they'll give me a very compelling case. But then I'll talk to someone else that knows also more than me, and they'll also give me a compelling case. And me, who has not, read these books, I don't really know. So what would they say? Would they say you're lying?
They wouldn't say that we are lying. So if the average Muslim came, if the average Muslim apologist came, and I can show you a few of their defenses and even play you some clips of the stuff that they say, just for you to see how problematic the situation actually is, they would make certain explanations to why it was entirely okay, and some would even argue why it is entirely okay today to have such a marriage. So that would be the traditionalist understanding of Islam. The traditionalist and mainstream Islamic understanding would be, yes, Muhammad did it. Muhammad did marry a little child, or did marry a girl when she was 6 and consummated at 9. But then they would come up with different things, like she showed signs of maturity, and the Prophet was aware of this. But obviously that's a little bit hard to believe that a 9-year-old girl was mature and ready for marriage.
Especially when they say she was prepubescent.
Yeah. The sources also say that she used to play with dolls. She would play with her friends while they were married together. And he is a 50-something-year-old man, and she is a little girl who plays dolls with her friends. And Muhammad has sex with her at that time. That's what the sources tell us. And Muslim apologists today will just say, well, it's not like that. She was mature. But at the same time, they will also argue that it is possible to do the same thing today. And I can show you some examples of that, actually.
Yeah. And so you will get a variety of responses. The only responses I can take seriously as not, because at the end of the day, there are just people who are going to deceive you in order to throw you off the trail. They believe that you would actually be better off being lied to than telling the truth and then rejecting Islam for it. So you do have people like that. The only people I can take seriously as denying the age of Aisha are basically non-Sunnis who just say, I don't trust any of those sources. And I would say, okay, if you don't trust any of these sources, then I don't know what your sources say, but we're still stuck with what 85 to 90% of Muslims believe. As far as Sunni, if a Sunni Muslim tells you no, Aisha was older, that could be someone who believes that. Maybe he's never read the sources. Maybe he's heard the cases that you've been told, right? Like, oh, I saw this compelling case that she was actually much older or something like that. So it could be someone who actually believes what he's saying, but is just wrong. as far as people who are familiar with the sources, there's no way around this. And that's why Ali Dawa said that if his daughter reached puberty at the age of 9, he'd tell her she's ready to be married. Muhammad Hijab said that if you just go with the Quran, you conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old. Daniel Hakikachu said even if a girl's 11 months old, and as long as you get parental consent, you could marry an 11-month-old baby. There's a reason like their top Dawa guys are all agreeing on this. They're not disputing it.
Yeah, we can say a lot of things, but I just want to hear it from the guy's mouth himself. So.
When there are signs of physical maturity, it becomes permissible for the husband in Islamic law to have marital relationships or consummate the relation with his bride. And this is the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Do you know what precocious puberty is?
Starting puberty unusually early.
Is there anything in Islam that prevents you from, a man marrying a 5-year-old that started precocious puberty?
You can arrange a marriage even as an infant, but that doesn't mean that sex is allowed.
Could a man have a marriage to a 5-year-old consummated if she started precocious puberty?
If she starts showing signs of physical maturity, then yes, that's permissible. As I
What
said,
about age 4?
If there are signs
3.
So this is something that becomes biologically impossible because
I have a
puberty,
study
there are
that shows
no.
it goes as early as 11 months.
Well, that's something that the parents would not. See, the thing about Islamic marriage is that parents are involved at these ages, and when you look at the marriage of the Prophet,
yeah. So this is just one of the many Muslim perspectives that are prominent. That this guy is not just some random guy. He's actually currently a very popular Muslim apologist who is praised as a great debater, who makes a great case for Islam and debunks and destroys the Islamophobes and the critics like myself or David Wood. He did debate with us as well. And so based on that whole idea of Muhammad actually marrying a little child and him being the perfect moral conduct, the perfect moral example for all times, they come to these conclusions that as soon as a girl starts showing signs of maturity, you can not only marry her, but also consummate the marriage, meaning you can have sex with her. And this is just what happens. And this is the main cause of that is directly the sources that we just showed you, the Sunni Muslim sources.
And what's bad is as awful as Hakikachu is there, he's talking about signs of maturity or something like that, but signs of maturity that could even appear in like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old or something like that. But what's crazy is he actually seems better than his sources to me, because Allah doesn't even lay that down as a requirement in the Quran. There's no requirement for even signs of physical maturity. Allah specifically refers, Surah 65 verse 4 specifically refers to marrying, having sex with, and divorcing a girl all before she's reached the age of puberty. And the question in Surah 65 verse 4 is, matter of fact, let's go ahead and read it. Quick little background on this. This is earlier in the Quran, Allah had explained that if you divorce a woman after having sex with her, then she has to wait 3 monthly menstrual cycles before she marries again. So she has to wait 3 monthly menstrual cycles. So eventually Muhammad's followers asked him about what about wives who don't have a monthly menstrual cycle? And there are 3 categories there. It's either women who are too old, they've gone through menopause, they're too young, they haven't reached puberty yet, or they're pregnant. And so can you clarify what the waiting period is for divorcing and remarrying a girl or woman who doesn't have a monthly menstrual cycle? And Allah revealed, Surah 65 verse 4, and those of your women as have passed the age of monthly courses, so menopause, for them the iddah, this is the waiting period before you can marry again, which again, earlier in the Quran was 3 monthly menstrual cycles, but these don't have a monthly menstrual cycle. So what do? If you have doubt about their periods, is 3 months. So instead of waiting 3 menstrual cycles, they wait 3 months. And for those who have no courses, i.e. they are still immature, so they haven't reached puberty, their iddah, their prescribed period, is 3 months likewise, except in case of death. And then you have for the pregnant women. So this is Allah laying down, giving his ruling. And the historical background of this, we have the historical background in the Muslim sources. It's someone specifically asked him, said, hey, what about girls who are too young to have a monthly menstrual cycle? How long do we have to wait before we can marry them after their divorce? And it's wait 3 months. And so this is, and Muhammad Hijab himself, I don't know if you have this video handy, AP, but Muhammad Hijab himself said, if you just go with this and you don't go with, if you don't like look to the hadith where Muhammad at least waited until she's 9, he said you would read the Quran and conclude that you can have sex with a 5-year-old.
Oh yeah.
So that's,
He's the guy that you have been I think he invited you. He made several tweets in response to you, Mohammed Hijab.
Oh yeah, I invited him on my channel, and then he's like, "Come on mine." I'm like, "Well, I asked you first. I'm nice, you know."
yeah, that's weird. I would assume that he would jump at the chance, because that's like his new dawah tactic, is to find people who aren't familiar with a lot of these issues, because then he can say whatever he wants. And so it seems that he would jump on it, because he jumped on he had his followers like Nag, Jordan Peterson, and some of these other guys to go on their shows. So that's, that's weird to me.
He wants to have full control over the conversation, probably. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I was like, you can come on my religion panel, you know. And then this other guy kept I don't know his name. I don't know like their names. But there's this other guy that was tweeting on me, and he's like, "Stop interacting with Pearl." So I was like, "I'll just block you so you don't have to see it." And then I guess he was mad about that. I'm like, "What am I supposed to? You're welcome." Like like
So Pearl, as a result of everything that you have seen so far, what are your thoughts? What do you think about all this?
Well, I think 9 is, as I said in the tweet, I think 9's a bit young. You know, for me anyways. I think
Well, it
not
is
12 or 13 either, you know, don't, you know, keep me out of that one. But no, I think, you know, I'm still Catholic. Everyone's, you know, it's crazy. Everyone's been saying I'm going to convert to Muslim soon too. That's what everyone like has been tweeting at me for months. They're like, "Is she next?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't think so." You know,
they still say that about me, even though I've been criticizing Islam for years. But it just seems like a fun thing to say. If you're looking into this, you're going to convert, and they don't realize. Wait, looking into this can be horrifying for somebody.
But so I understand there's 3 Muslim groups. There's the Sunnis.
There's way more than that.
Oh, there's more than
those are the main categories if you're thinking like Sunni, Shia, Sufi, or something like that. But there are tons of groups within those other groups. So like within Shias you have multiple groups, and then within Sunnis you have a ton of different groups.
Okay, wait. There's Shias and there's Sunnis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the kind of the same way like Christians have all these different sects too. It's kind of similar.
The Sunni and Shia divide is so it is a little bit different, but the Shia are a minority. The Sunnis are the majority, have always been in Islamic history. And the divide basically happened very early on because they could not decide who are the rightful the leaders of the Muslim community after Muhammad. And there was a big split and a big fight, which is known as the fitna, which is a big corruption of Islam. But anyway, in early history, this big split happened between the leadership. And
is that similar? How like the Catholics and the Orthodox split off, like because they were like the ones were like we're the popes, and the other ones were like we're not. No, they're not.
It was early on, and it was based on which leader you're following. Whereas other splits were like doctrinal, like, oh, you're interpreting it this way, we can't go along with that. We're interpreting it that way. That's how it was in Christianity. It's like we will have to divide on this issue because you're wrong about this interpretation of this doctrine. In Islam, it was we're following this guy, we think he should be the leader. We're following that guy, we think he should be the leader.
But they believe the same things.
Very much. There is a difference. There is one fair point that can be made, which is that Shia Muslims, Shiites, they don't accept the sources like Sahih Bukhari, which we just read out at the very beginning. They don't accept that as entirely authentic. They have their own sources, which they attribute to the things that Muhammad did, but their sources are also very problematic and say some really messed up things. And they also believe in all the other harsh things, like, for example, that those who leave Islam should be executed, should be killed, which is unanimous in Islamic history and Islamic scholars. But primarily, they do have the same fundamental beliefs. But the Shiites have a slightly different understanding of the current Quran and how it came into existence. They put a lot of reverence on Muhammad's son-in-law, whom they consider a perfect, a wonderful, rightly guided person who should have led the Muslim community from the very beginning after Muhammad's death. But yeah, there are some differences, but they basically just believe in the same thing. But aside from that, within Muslim communities, there are still lots of movements and lots of sects. So.
Oh wow!
But by the way, you were correct when you asked. So is it like if you have Catholics and Protestants, but then you have a bunch of different groups? Yeah, you have Sunni. So you have there is a parallel there in that you have you'll have Protestants, but then within that group you'll have Baptists and Methodists and so on. Similarly, you have Sunni Muslims, but then you'll within that group you'll have Salafis and things like that. But they'll disagree on some actually very interesting things, like whether Allah has actual body parts. So Salafis believe that Allah has literal body parts, and like he has 2 right hands and like 1 leg but 2 feet on it and stuff like this, and like not non-Salafis will say it sounds like a monster. It sounds like you're describing a monster. So they do have some interesting theological disagreements, but yeah, it all split up based on which person they're following pretty early.
It was very much political. Very much political. I guess people say that you might end up converting to Islam because of the whole recent influence of Islam, because you hang out with Sneeko and you have a connection with Andrew Tate.
That's the in thing right now. If you Sneeko, Tate, hey, if you want to be cool, convert to Islam.
Well, I mean, I just appreciated their the women seem to submit more to their men than I see Christians do. More so. That's what I appreciated about them.
And there, I guess we can have very big differing opinions, and I also expressed them to you. I don't agree with your views on gender roles and how men and women should treat each other. So, but that's also your understanding of how men should be, of how women should submit themselves to their men is very much a rather Christian understanding. In Islam, it's not like that. I mean, the traditionalist Islamic perspective would be not that it is a man and a woman, and the man is in a position of a leader while the woman submits and follows. That would be your traditionalist understanding. The Islamic traditionalist understanding would be that there is a man. The man is allowed to take up to 4 wives who are supposed to obey him. Then he is allowed to have an unlimited number of slaves and sex slaves. Can also marry a little girl at any age.
Yeah, I'm not really talking about their teachings, to be honest. I'm saying like what I observe with Christian, and especially when I say Christians, I mean mostly like the non-denominational Christians in the US. I just see that a lot of the women seem to run their relationships in the couples that I know, where it's like the man is always trying to make the woman happy. And that just seems to be how they run. And this is mostly like the non-denominational. I'm not like a scholar. I don't know the ins and outs. Where in Muslims communities, it just seems to be like the women seem to listen to their men more.
Well, I think what AP is pointing out is like this seems to be happening more and more frequently. People are like, oh, there's this problem over here, but Islam is different, but it's like, it's a different extreme, right? So I think AP was pointing out, she say, oh, okay, I want a different dynamic than what I see exhibited in a lot of relationships in the United States. Oh, look, I see something like that being exhibited over in the Muslim community, which seems to be better. And it looks like, well, why don't you take a full look at that? It should be at least as concerning as anything you'd be concerned with here, because if you're talking, I mean, we recently we recently went through a video with Muhammad Hijab where he was him and Ali Dawa were saying you could have secret second wives since Muslim wives in the West are going to be upset if you got a second wife. You can have a secret second wife. You don't even have to tell her about it, and this is all fine with Islam. And we look at that and we go that there's something off about that.
Common? Because it's like the Muslims that I've met. Maybe it is. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but it's just like when I the Muslims I know, like they just marry. It's like 2. I don't know any with like multiple.
I mean, it's the times are different as well, but it's not like it's a rule that all the Muslim men are supposed to have 4 wives, or they will all have 4 wives. It's quite common that they will have fewer than 4. In many modern societies, they will they will only have 1, especially if they are in the West and if they're not very religious. Others have multiple. It just really depends on which society you are talking about. But so that is the perspective, the Islamic
I'm
perspective.
talking about America and the UK. That's where I like.
Well, you have in America and the UK. I mean, legally, polygamy is illegal.
Right.
So if you have a second wife, you get your second wife through the mosque. So you have a mosque marriage. You have an Islamic marriage, even though it's not official in the eyes of the state. But I mean, I've known Muslims who have done that. They have their polygamous marriages, and even though they're only legally married to one woman, they have that. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how common it is. I would say most Muslims I've run into only have 1 wife. Although if they believe in secret second wives, I don't know how I would even know about that one.
I knew a guy who actually had he officially married a woman, and only later on came out and admitted to her that she had an unofficial wife all along. So that was a very, very interesting case. She was very upset about that, but in the end, she had to somehow accept it. It's because otherwise the whole thing would be ruined. But so this stuff does happen in our time as well. I did meet people who had more wives than that, and but this is not just the only thing that there is. So you're talking about how men and women should have this role in society, and where women should be in a rather submissive position. And I can greatly disagree with you on how far that should go. But so in Muslim society, the issue is it's not just men leading and women submitting or following or obeying or whatever it is. It is much more than that. It is that men have the power, and they are allowed to, by the Quran's own words and teachings, to beat their wives if they misbehave, which is not a kink thing. It's a discipline, a violent discipline thing. And yeah.
Do you think that women shouldn't lead relationships though, right? Like we don't.
I mean,
like the direction of a relationship, like women shouldn't lead it.
I mean, that's a whole different discussion. But I am married, and in my relationship, it is that the both of us are equal members of this agreement that we have.
Equal partnership type.
Yeah, we share equal responsibility. She shares her thoughts with me. I share my thoughts with her. It's not like, so we don't take permission from each other. We don't give commands to each other. We are equal to each other. That is a healthy, normal system.
Just so you know, AP's an atheist. I'm a Christian. Just to be.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Just to be, yeah.
Okay.
In case
Well,
you thought
if
you were
you
talking
believe in the equal partnership, that's fine. That's a different dynamic. But so when
that's fine, right? So
yeah, that's like a different dynamic. But I'm talking just like it seems to be in the West, like in Christian, especially non-denominational churches, like women seem to lead those relationships more than men, in my opinion.
Is that true though?
Yeah.
I'm not from. I don't know.
I can't say anything about that.
I'm sure you have a spectrum and so on, but I'm just thinking about like my friends and stuff, and I don't know. I can't say I see that very much. And from a Christian perspective, so you do have wives submit to your husbands, but you also have husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And so the dynamic is, I'm laying my life down for you, ready to be crucified for you. You submit. Children, in fact, in Christianity, everyone is submitted to someone else. The children submit to the parents, wife submits to her husband, husband submits to the authority of the church, and it says submit to one another. So it's in Christianity, submission was not regarded as a bad thing. It was, it wasn't this horrible thing like, oh, I'm submitting to this, I'm submitting to that, I'm submitting to this authority, and this is this horrible thing. It was considered. It's considered good. Everyone should be everyone should be submitting, because you kind of need that for I don't know. It's just I don't know, psychologically healthy from keeping
Yeah.
everyone from turning into narcissists or something like that. So yeah, it's like, and even within Christianity, you'll have egalitarians and so on who we're all husbands and wives are in an equal relationship, or they're equal in certain ways but not equal in other ways. So we would all have disagreements about that. The messed up thing is when it's, oh, but look, things aren't like that in Islam. And like, we look at what the Muslim sources say about how things are in Islam, and it's like, you can literally, according to Islam, you can literally beat your wife until her skin turns green.
I don't know.
To make her submit.
They probably have other issues,
But that's the issue, right? So that's the problem. What we see recently is
planning on converting. I just
But what we see is like recently this whole trend of there was a problem in Western society, and Muslims seem to be based and seem to handle the situation better. But that is just the surface. That's just what you see. But underneath that, there are a lot of problems. And I'm an ex-Muslim. I used to be a Muslim myself. I lived in Muslim countries and Muslim communities. I grew up in a very religious Muslim family. There are lots of problems that you as a Western person would not want to be dealing with. I mean, just you as a woman coming out and being a public figure, speaking, sharing your opinion, stuff like this is not common and not really accepted, for example. And I'm pretty sure you would want to in an ideal world, you would want to share your thoughts with the public as you do. And in that world, that is just not considered acceptable, because women are not supposed to, even give their opinions to anybody in public. They're supposed to simply serve as almost belongings to their husbands, who then have full control over them and have to be covered up so others don't see them and don't hear their voices. So there's a lot of nuance to this. There are a lot of problems if you scratch the surface and go deeper into it. But yeah, so this is basically the gist of it. And I think to your question of whether Muhammad did or did not marry a 6-year-old girl and have sex with her when she was 9, the vast majority of Islamic scholars throughout history have accepted it as true. And the sources by Islamic standards give us a definite and very clear answer. It is true. And the problem with that is also that it wasn't just a different time. So if it was just a different time, if it was just some random guy doing that, we would not be sitting here and talking about this and judging it. The issue is also that Muhammad is supposed to be the perfect moral example followed by all Muslims at all times. And he is a person who owned sex slaves, had multiple wives, and married a little girl when she was 6 and had sex with her when she was 9. And that makes Islam altogether a problem. So,
and it would be one thing if Muslims said, that was Muhammad and that was during his time, but we understand that was just. I've never seen any evidence that it was common back then. They'll say that, but the point is, even if they were saying it was common back then, but it's wrong now, that would be one thing. But what do you see? You see again Ali Dawa saying if his daughter reaches puberty at 9, he'd tell her she's ready for marriage. Daniel Hakikachu was saying an 11-month-old baby, as long as you get parental consent. It's like they're trying to bring back child marriage, and that's kind of what's causing us to go, no, that's
the struggle. That's the ambition here. Yeah, that's pretty much it, bro.
So what are you said you're an atheist?
I'm an atheist. He's a Christian.
You're a Christian?
Atheist and Christian friends, yeah.
What type of Christian are you? Are you non-denominational or are you different one?
I'd be considered I don't even consider myself that. It's just I became a Christian on my own, reading the Bible and stuff. But yeah, if you wanted to put me in a category, I'd be like non-denominational Christian.
I wasn't sure because, I learned about all the different like there's like Methodist, but it's interesting. Non-denominational in the U.S. is different than over in England. So
non-denominational in the U.S. is like that's why I said I don't even want to put myself in that category, because it's become a denomination, right? Non-denominational has almost become a separate denomination and so on. So it's just like, I don't know. I'm not.
Where are you guys at?
America,
yeah, U.S.
Oh, I'm doing a religion panel. I was like, you guys could come on it if you want. I need to recruit for it.
I mean, we would love to. That would be fantastic, right?
Depends on what you want, because some people want like aggressive, hostile people to get to arguing. We're kind of laid back until someone else dials it up. Like that's why we can be friends, because until someone starts tossing out insults or threats, we're pretty laid back. But we'd be happy to join you if you
Christian and
look for
atheist.
something
I'm
like that.
excited. I found a atheist who actually studies this stuff, because I don't.
And
didn't know if I
AP is sort of a rarity in that he's a former Muslim. He's made tons of videos about Islam, but he's also studied Christianity a lot, and often corrects Muslims when they make false claims about Christianity. He'll say, no, that's not what Christianity is to you. And I'll sit here and look at him going, gosh, I wish this Christian I just met knew as much as AP does about this stuff. Because
thank you. No, but yeah, we would be. So that would be. We are always open to having these conversations, to having more about this. And if you are considering such a panel, if you are considering a follow up to all of this, we are definitely available. I would say. I'm speaking for David. I know he is. So.
Or any of the Muslims who tell you, oh, Pearl, if you just look at this article, you'll see that Muhammad married Aisha when she was much older. If you ever want to say, hey, well, just let's have a live discussion about that, and we'll go through the sources and see what the sources say. That's fine. You should be aware. The Dawa community hates us, so they will.
What's Dala?
Dawa. That's like Muhammad Hijab. He's part of the Dawa community. These are they're like the Islamic version of evangelists, but they're very different. They rely quite a bit on like threats and insults and so on. So you saw Muhammad Hijab. That's an example. So people will come after you simply. You're going to get insults and threats just for coming on AP's live stream here. Because
don't scare people.
No, I'm just saying it's a means of social control for them. It's, oh, this person does something we don't want her to do. Let's heap insults and abuse on her, because that actually works with lots of people. It's, oh, I don't like that, and so let me do something else. But yeah, totally up to you. Our feelings aren't going to be hurt either way. If they do inevitably rain down a fire of insults and threats on you for having us on, don't worry, we can defend you. We know how.
Okay. Well, we're probably going to do it either in the fall or in July in Chicago. So, watch my tweets. I'll be tweeting about it.
I will be following and commenting.
Right.
So.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yep.
Thank you for joining. It was very, very nice. See you later.
Actually.
Well, that was good. I didn't think that you would actually join. I mean, she did text back when I texted her and did ask when, but I didn't think she would actually show up.
Can you imagine though? That's someone who, okay, she's got some views that various people are going to. I'll disagree with some of her views. You'll disagree with some of her views.
Badly,
yeah. We're not going to like rain down threats and insults on her for saying something. So the idea that I mean, look, she's honestly asking for information about Islam, and then she comes across at some point information about Muhammad and Aisha, and she sees people disputing, and so she just asks, wait a minute, did he date a 9-year-old? And then it's, how dare you say this? And it's like, why don't you just calmly explain to her your view?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I don't know.
I mean, and she does this, and she publicly comments on this. She publicly asks a question. So obviously she expects an answer, and it's also at that point beyond her. It now concerns the public. She is putting the question out there. She has an audience. She has influence, and a lot of people, as you have seen, 1.6 million people saw the initial tweet that she made. A lot of people are joining the conversation. Why would you not invite her and have a discussion with her and directly answer her questions instead of turning this into a big fight and all that? And that is what we are ready to do. I said before, I disagree completely with most of what she says online, and I consider it in fact horrible. That said, I sit down here and have very nice conversations with jihadists as well, because we have to sit down and talk to each other too.
Yeah, and I mean, think about how that entire discussion on Twitter could have gone very differently. Hey guys, did did Muhammad really date a 9-year-old? What's going on with this? I don't know. I'm asking for information. Imagine the Dawah guys. Hey, yes, according to our sources, Muhammad married a girl when she was 6 or 7, consummated the marriage when she was 9. It was a different time. So, and we don't believe that you in the modern world can judge culture for 14 centuries ago. And if you have moral objections to that, please share the foundation of those views, because I saw them going in that direction. You have no foundation for anything you say. And notice then you could get into a discussion about, meta ethics and things, but it instantly turns into like an insult battle with someone who, who's just asking a question.
Yeah, that's it. Well. With her also coming here, we have pretty much gone through everything that we actually wanted to go through. Didn't even need to further. Go ahead. What?
Can I share a quick? Can I share a story?
Sure. Yeah.
I just want it somewhere. Why the things that are about to happen are going to happen. Why pages of a book shall be folded. Why? Let me break this down. So my grandfather, my mom's dad, was a massive hulking Green Beret killing machine who loved his entire life just totally punking people out. Anytime he was around a dude, he had to show every dude around him that he was superior to all of them. Anyway, this is my grandfather. Violently abusive. He once shoved my grandmother when she was pregnant, knocked her on the ground, and she had a miscarriage. So that would have been one of my uncles. She had a miscarriage because he threw her on the ground. Anyway, not the nicest guy in the world. Big, massive, hulking, abusive dude. And you would think a girl growing up seeing that would choose the opposite kind of guy. A lot of women don't do that. My mom usually ended up going for the exact same type of guy. Big, hulking, muscle-bound, violently abusive guy. That's who she ended up with. One time, one of her boyfriends, John, this is the father of a couple of my brothers, punched my mom in the face, gave her a black eye. So she went to her dad's house, so my grandfather's house, basically to hide from her boyfriend, who in college, he was a lineman for WVU, defensive lineman for WVU, big guy, was a professional boxer after that. So has no business punching a woman in the face. But he went over to my grandfather's house. He came over to my grandfather's house to get my mom back. So this big hulking dude comes to my grandpa. Now, my grandfather was the previous big hulking dude at the time, but at this point, he's kind of old. So he's past his prime. And John comes over and says, hey, I just want to apologize for hitting her and she should come back with me. And my grandpa walks right up to him, shoves him. So he walks up and shoves this professional boxer, defensive lineman for WVU, shoves him. And Big John, my mom's boyfriend, goes, not a good idea, Sarge. Right. So it's like, now the two baddest dudes are about to get in a fight. And except my grandfather, he just pulls out a 38 and puts it right against his head and said, what'd you say to me? Say that one more time. Right. And so anyway, grandfather pulled the trump card, put the gun to the guy's head and then made him leave. And so anyway, point is, that's like family environment with women. And so mom would always have these abusive husbands. I would never defend her because I was a psychopath and I just didn't care. And I was like, if you don't like getting beaten, then go with a different guy. What's your problem? It's not till years later I'm like, gosh, it was messed up. Because then I have kids and I have to tell my kids, hey, anyone ever hurts your mom, they better hurt you first. Whoever it is better have to hurt you first if someone's getting to your mom. But anyway, long story short, I now spot abusive men who want to abuse and threaten and harass and intimidate women. It's just a personality type. They get off on threatening and abusing women. And it's like, wait, my mom is dead. Her boyfriend's dead. I can't go back and fix anything I can. All I can do now is try to do a better job protecting women than when I was a little kid. And so any random woman comes along that I've never heard of and some big hulking dude thugs out on her, there are going to be some repercussions, just so you know. Anyway, long story short, when everyone asks me why'd you make a Quranic Bugatti? That's so offensive. Guys, you got to teach these guys a lesson. The only thing these guys understand is when their behavior is leading to insults and desecration against their book. That's all. That's the only thing I've seen that they ever understand, and that's the only way of modifying their behavior. So, hijab, cry me a river. I hope the threats to Pearl were worth it. But I'm going to show you what we do with guys who threaten women around here.
Wonderful, wonderful. After this long and boring story,
action-packed.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story, David. But yeah, no, we are here, man. We are here.
I just wanted people for once to understand the mentality of why I will go totally ballistic over one of these dudes.
No, they have to know. They have to. You know what's very funny? A lot of people they choose to ignore. They choose to ignore what we are saying, or when we respond to the issues that Pearl or others raise, and they don't want to accept our challenges and our invitations. But as soon as Pearl actually came onto the stream, several Muslim apologists, including those who have channels, started appearing in the comment section and telling me to tell Pearl to get back to them and telling me to stop talking nonsense and stuff like that. You know, why does it have to come to this? And why does it take for an honest person who actually comes here and wants to acquire knowledge, for you then to have an ounce of integrity and of care, and to then actually start interacting with us? Why don't you just have these discussions with us from the very beginning? Why don't you prefer talking to each other instead of letting it come to this? Some people were saying earlier that there was a drum sound or something coming during the stream, which I have no idea.
That's thumping. That sounds like kids running around. Are kids running around over top of you?
I don't think so.
Or below you or something like
that?
They
were talking about a consistent sounds, and I didn't do anything, so I had no idea what's going on. My screen sharing and sound was still on, and I'm wondering if there's anything on my computer that's caused that. I don't hear anything. But anyway, that's gone now. So please stop. Revelation 22:13 said, "Sounds like Jesus knocking on your door, AP." Please stop. Why? Shine Varman Zedigan said, became a YouTube member. Oh, nice. Thank you. Thanks for joining. The real Mace Chris said, Allah equals top G. Don't question the best of gimps. Next Highlanders made a super chat. I appreciate it very much. Cedric said, how is a child R if there's parental consent? AP, please can you play that clip with Michaela Peterson? It's on my channel. You can find the short video. Michaela Peterson reacts to Farid response. I don't want to play it here anymore. I think she might even have not taken it very well in the aftermath that she actually appeared and reacted to those things. I don't know. I don't want to push it anymore. So, but you can view it on my channel. Jackson Hill said, how in the hell do people actually believe this? I've never been less convinced about a religion than I am about Islam. It takes indoctrination, fear-mongering, and so on. Yeah. David doesn't know the answer. I know it.
No, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, AP, we've seen tons of people convert when we ask them their reasons. I mean, it's always similar to Sneeko. Oh, in his case, it's, I didn't like pictures and blah, 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 blah.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's always either something really stupid or deception.
I don't like pictures.
It's very, very rare for someone to seriously study the religion and then convert to it. Like someone like actually go through all the doctrines and what it actually teaches and so on, and then to convert. I mean, that has happened, but the overwhelming vast majority of converts are completely clueless about Islam. And I mean, you could take a new convert to Islam and ask them basic questions about their religion, and pretty much every answer they give is going to be completely wrong because they were deceived. They were deceived into doing it. They were given false reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Limes and Straub said, indeed, Prophet Tate, may police be upon him, may find delight in your crafted Bugatti. Yeah.
I'm gonna offer it to him. I'll put it in the video that if he actually wants it, I'll send it to him. He can have it. He can add it to his Bugatti collection. Hopefully it won't get seized by the Romanian authorities.
He'll probably go to prison by then until you're done. I think they're supposed to present the charges soon. That's as far as I've read. I don't know.
I'm legitimately interested in what they're going to do, because I mean, if half of what he's said about what he's done in the past is true, then he was indisputably guilty of trafficking, fraud, all kinds of things, just based on what he said, not based on what any women accusers have said. But that's not the only factor. I can sit here and say, hey, I've killed 50 people. That doesn't mean you can charge me or find me guilty of killing 50 people. You have to find other evidence. And it's basically people know that if you're putting webcam girls on trial who've been in a relationship with this guy, it's very easy to raise doubts like, hey, you sure you just didn't like the cut of the money you were getting and you didn't like him getting this other girl, and so you're making up these stories about all this stuff? It's easy to discredit witnesses, and so that's probably the reason for the delay. They're making sure they have all their ducks in a row and making sure everything is airtight. But no, I don't know what they actually have that will be that will give a conviction. So
I mean, the issue is also
what happens.
So that's what they normally do. It was not for no reason that they took all of the documents, everything that was needed, in order to then raid their place, arrest them, put them under arrest, and then seize everything they have in order to start a huge investigation. They probably had the investigation going for a long time before that and already gathered quite a few things. And after they arrested them, the investigation took a serious turn, and lots of proof started accumulating. We already have, I mean, people who defend Andrew Tate and who say, he's not guilty and, innocent until proven guilty, are not aware of all the stuff that the Romanian authorities have already presented, which are some phone transcripts, phone conversations that Andrew Tate had with his employees and with others, a corrupt police officer who was working for Andrew Tate and punishing his employees and threatening them, lots of stuff, records of him taking away the girls' passports and not allowing them to roam freely, which is a very serious accusation, because it not only goes into limiting another free person's freedom, but also is a very common human trafficking practice, and so on. There's a lot of stuff. Of course, we can't say anything at this point, but it looks like even the evidence that is publicly available so far shows that that they are in serious trouble, and all the words that they themselves have so far offered already tell us that they are guilty of some very serious crimes and some very questionable actions. And I would like to see what the result of all of this will be.
I thought it was interesting. Just one tweet I saw a long time ago from a Muslim. They said he's always been confused by the claim of some Muslims that Muslims will follow the Dajjal when he appears. There will be Muslims who follow the Antichrist. And he said, I've always been confused about how people could do that until I saw how Muslims bowed down to Andrew Tate. He said, I realized as long as the Antichrist comes spouting misogyny and violence and all this stuff, that there will be tons of Muslims who rally around him. Interesting stuff.
It's also so idiotic that the guy who openly and proudly said that his whole business in the beginning was just basically a scam and was consisted of using girls, lying to them, and then scamming lonely men out of their money is considered
and scamming the girls, telling them they're getting 50% when he's saying I'm only actually giving them 30%. I pretend I'm paying their taxes when in reality I put it on to Bitcoin. And so it's like, okay, we saw, like, I saw Bruce Rivers, a lawyer, actually going through this. He's like, okay,
I was saying, yeah.
he's going like, you can't just put all your income in Bitcoin and then think you don't have to pay. Right? That's still taxable income, which you've acknowledged that you are not paying. Two, if you say you're giving someone 50% when you're actually giving them 30% and you're lying about paying their taxes because you're not paying anything, that's fraud. That's fraud to them. That's fraud to the government. It's like, he's just going through it. Now, notice it. They still have to prove all this stuff, because I can say right now, hey, I put billions of dollars into Bitcoin. I didn't pay the government a penny of it. Ha ha! You'd still have to prove that. But
he says it on video. He says, obviously, because I put it in crypto, I don't have to pay taxes. Who told you that? What are you talking about? It's funny. I saw clips of that lawyer too, and he also reacted to the recent interview on BBC, which is, by the way, such a dumb idea. Who in the world gave him the idea to go on BBC and to talk about the things that are going on? I saw the video of that lawyer reacting to him, and he was expressing the same thing. Like, nobody in his position should, with the trouble that he's in, accept an invitation from BBC and go on there and actually talk about this stuff. He's just putting himself in more trouble. They're just adding evidence now with the stuff that he said. And
what did they do in that? Did you see the BBC? I didn't see any of it.
I saw parts of the one that he recorded himself in the back, and I saw the full interview on BBC. And people are saying, "Oh, look, this is you can clearly see how they are deceptive, and they were trying to get him." I watched the thing. First off, they did make him look like a complete idiot. Secondly, they did make him look like a complete, I don't know, complete scumbag. And they also showed very clearly to everyone that he lies about the things that he did. At the very beginning of the interview,
he definitely lies. Yeah,
she quotes him precisely and says, "This is what you said in the past." And then she quotes something that is from his website directly taken, and says, "It was my job to meet girls, sleep with them, and test if they are quality, and make them fall in love with me to the point that they will do anything I say. And then I put them in front of a webcam, and we make money together." He reacted to that with, "I never said that. I never said that. You just got this somewhere from the internet. That doesn't mean it's true. I didn't."
That's on his website.
Yeah, and he says BBC is known for making things up. That the quote is directly taken from his own website, word for word.
And as of not too long ago, it was still up as far as I recall. So
plus, there's also video footage of him saying those things in different words on many occasions.
Yeah, it's weird because I did watch a video of some dude who was trying to get an interview with him, and Tate told him to bring him chocolates and so on. But it's just him and Tristan inside cracking up laughing, looking at this dude through the camera and stuff like this, and making fun of him. And that was actually funny. I'll give credit where credit is due. He was hilarious there, and he made that dude look like a complete joke and an idiot. But I was asking about the BBC thing because, I mean, if I were them, I would just be like showing him clips. Okay, right here where you said that you would give the webcam girls 30%, but lie to them and tell them you're giving 50%, and say that you're paying the taxes when you're not actually paying taxes. Is that true? Because notice, is that it's very simple. Is that true? So if you say it's not true, in other words, in order to avoid charges of fraud, you say it's not true. Okay, so you were lying then. Is it? If what you said was true, then you were committing fraud, in which case that's illegal. You're in trouble. Or were you lying then, in which case you're a liar? But I mean, he's taking advantage of the fact that, like, I have pretty hardcore contempt for the BBC and the media in general. Bunch of liars and scumbags. So it wouldn't surprise me if they totally like misrepresent things. But I don't know why you would need to do that. He said so much stuff that you could just, I mean, you can quote him word for word. And if he says that's out of context, you can quote the entire context. You say, I will quote you in the entire 6-minute. Matter of fact, click play. We will watch the entire 6-minute video where you're bragging about this thing. Now tell me I'm taking it out of context. Hey, you're muted, man.
Yeah, I'm not muted. What are you talking about, man?
You were muted.
You are muted. Hunter Avalon said,
You're muted.
That one gamer said Hunter Avalon is a political crackpot but I agree with his views on Islam, probably because you're a Nazi. No, thanks, that one gamer. I appreciate it. Tom S said, what's David's views on Gnosticism?
Pretty lame stuff. Seems like a
Cool ideology, cool
yeah.
ideas.
I mean, some people took some weird ideas from Plato and then melded them together with Christianity, and those things took
Plato?
off. And
Have you
I
ever
lo-
heard of Zoroastrianism? Have you heard of how old it is and the influence that it probably had on these cultures and what they believed in?
don't make stuff up.
Shepherd's Lamb said, "Thank you both for everything you are doing. My wife is Muslim and is beginning to realize Islam is a false religion based on things I learned from both of you.
Nice.
I pray she comes to Christ soon. God bless." We appreciate that. I appreciate that. David doesn't. Kana X122 said, Hunter Avalon is a political commentator who actually identified as more conservative, but has seemingly drifted left over the last few years. And that's an interesting thing. That's even Destiny, when he got in trouble with the whole Muhammad thing and he doubled down and he started insulting Muhammad, he pointed out this thing, how the world starts getting really weird because here you are, the right wingers suddenly aligning themselves with Islam and Muslims, and the left coming out and and attacking
Very weird.
Muhammad. It was very different just a few years ago. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
think
I
that's
mean,
just-
I mean, it sucks because I'm actually interested to see how this plays out. I want to see what happens, but it is weird to watch. Someone changing his views in his 20s is not weird.
yeah.
So Hunter Avalon or changing his views is not terribly weird.
Yeah. That one gamer said the right isn't going to blindly defend Muhammad, especially Ben Shapiro or the Daily Wire. There's already brewing resistance to. Yeah, I mean, definitely not Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. I guess people know Ben Shapiro's stance on Islam and Muslims. He did make videos about it before. He talked about it before. He tweeted about it before. So that camp is, of course, different. But this trend right now on the right is just, I think it is rather limited to a specific part of the right wing political spectrum of this manosphere, red pill garbage that is going on. There you see a lot of sympathizing with Islam.
And the people who believe like the worst possible thing that could ever happen is the LGBTQ stuff. And like, if you know nothing about Islam, and you don't know anything about Muhammad and Aisha and wife beating and any of that, you just know, hey, I have some nice Muslim friends. And if your biggest concern in the world is LGBTQ stuff, you'll probably look at the Muslims saying, hey, we're on the same page here. We can be united. And I mean, you can be, but that's what I mean. I'm like, there are so many different ways to react to this. Because the Muslims to have an alliance will want a sort of agreement, like, don't criticize Muhammad and we'll unite on this, but you can't be criticizing Muhammad or we're not going to unite with you. And you'll have some people who are, I don't care about criticizing Muhammad. I'm not going to do that anyway. So yeah, let's unite. And you'll have other people who are no. And so anyway, I'm interested in seeing what happens. Like what are the actual percentages and numbers of people who line up with Islam and who align with Islam and who don't, and what are the alliances going to be? I predict just massive breakdowns of everything.
I find it very funny. I depict this whole thing with Andrew Tate and others who think like him and sympathize with Islam, and they talk about the Matrix. I find it so funny that I guess they imagine themselves as these people in the Matrix, opening their eyes and confronting the agents of the Matrix, but in reality, they're just fighting against a bunch of trans people and women.
Yeah, and they've become errand boys for pedophiles. Like, hey, can you go out and defend all the pedophiles for us? Okay, I'm Tristan Tate. Of course, I'll defend pedophilia. Oh, Queen Isabella was only 6. How dare you criticize this? It's like, this is what you become when you escape the Matrix, an errand boy for pedophiles.
And the Matrix are just.
I need to make a video.
The trans people.
I need to title it Tristan Tate, errand boy for pedophiles.
Yeah.
Oh,
please, boy. Pedophiles, help us against these trans people and these women. They are the Matrix. They are sending their agents. Oh boy,
weird stuff going on.
That one game. Oh yeah, we already had that. Jeff the Pelted said, guys, go ahead and Google Yemeni child bride dying on wedding night.
No, I've seen that before.
Okay. Saint Shabal, miracle worker said, please ask if she has had, or I asked that while it was happening. We asked her about the death threats, and she already started getting death threats.
And what was cool was she was like, oh yeah, but I got death threats from other people before, so I'm used to it. So it's cool that she's not panicking over this. What happened to your voice?
I'm just kidding. I'm just pretending to be muted. Christianity is Unstoppable said Pearl invited Mo Hijab to a religious panel. Let's try to get Bob of Speaker's Corner on. He's in London and debates Muslims all the time. Let's make it happen, and tweet at Pearl with Bob's info. Make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the panel, I don't know how big her panel is or who she wants on there, but I mean, I could probably name other people who would be better than I am, depending on what she wants to talk. Unless she does want like an argument from different perspectives, in which case maybe she wants people who are familiar with the other views and so on. So I don't know, but I mean, like if you're just talking about Christianity, I mean, there are people who would be significantly better than I am, unless I don't know.
ES 1002 said, Pearl, you're a woman. It will be grape threats. Probably. That one member said, please ask if she's watched IP's debate and responses to Daniel. I think IP already started interacting with her on Twitter and messaging back and forth. So I don't know. Maybe. It's interesting that she actually looks genuinely interested in this whole stuff, you know. Yeah. Narlandler said, will Pearl bring David Wood, AP, Robert Spencer, Jay Smith, or Hatuntash in studio to have a chat with Sneeko about Islam and Dawaganda? I don't know if it's even necessary, is it? I don't think I would ever consider it necessary to sit down and have an online conversation with Sneeko.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, the only purpose there would be like the same thing we do in videos and live streams. Namely, I mean, when we're talking to Sneeko, our main task is to expose the deception that the Dawa guys do. That would be kind of the only purpose of sitting down with Sneeko. But you know, at the end of the day, I don't want to do a pile-on with some kid who converted. I want to show him that his reasons are all wrong and that he was duped, so that he can make an informed decision. But yeah, I don't need to sit down with him, because I mean, to his credit, when his fans say, hey, watch this video by John or something like that, he actually did it. So I mean, point is, Sneeko's claims about Islam his reasons for converting to Islam have already been thoroughly debunked right in front of his face. So it's not like we responded and he doesn't know it. We responded and he is aware of the responses. So he's kind of on his own now. I'm sure he'll say more stupid things about Islam and we'll point that out. But yeah,
while he has two girls on his lap, kissing and making out.
Like Muhammad, like Prophet Muhammad.
Leon said, tell her how Mo dreamed of the child before that.
Oh yeah, we could have brought that up.
Yeah.
Dreaming about a 6-year-old.
I think we already told her so much stuff. It was a lot of information. I don't know.
And yeah, we could have spent another hour and a half just going through Aisha sources and so on. But yeah, she got a good introduction. The source that someone should make a song about that, just to emphasize how messed up it is. And the song would be, I dreamt about a 6-year-old. Make a song, I dreamt about a 6-year-old, and watch how horrified everyone is. I had a dream about a 6-year-old and how this is like a love story, and watch how horrified everyone gets. And then he pointed out, oh, I'm talking about Muhammad.
It's a romantic
Had a dream about a 6-year-old. An angel was giving her to me. Oh yeah, baby. What the heck?
Please show her the Dole Hadith. Too late, but I'm pretty sure that we'll keep in touch. So we'll see.
And we mentioned it. You mentioned it.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Muslims must accept that marriage because Momo did it and he is their best example to follow. Exactly. Thank you. Muhammad, God said to do whatever I say, I swear.
God said to do whatever I say, I swear. That's funny.
Yeah. Mango Bango said, show her the sources of what Muhammad did with little boys. Yeah, that's the whole different topic.
Probably talk about the sucking on the tongue. And
Yeah,
stuff.
same thing with Cheeky Shaky brought up the same thing. Maybe Pearl could learn how to read or ask her based Muslim friends. Okay. Yeah. Pearl will be the salvation of the new red pill. I think the new red pill should just stop talking. Glad Pearl is learning about the true Islam. True. Remember, because Islam goes by the lunar calendar, she could have been 8. I wouldn't say that because I think the calculation is pretty much in line with the age as we wait. I'm kind of confused right now. The age is specified by the lunar calendar in the hadiths, yes, but it doesn't really change much about the year, right?
The idea is that a lunar calendar is going to be 360 days instead of 300.
Yeah.
And so the idea was if she had supposedly just turned 9, according to the lunar calendar, she could have actually been 8. I think there are some details about the months. I think she was 9, but I'm not positive. I think she was 9 even according to normal years. But
yeah,
I'm not positive.
I think so too, because I remember looking up this stuff because it was a question on my mind many years ago, but I have no idea what I came to. Pearl should watch David's testimony video.
Boring.
Cat Canada said AP is based, the Dizzle is based, the tater tots are barf. Thank you. It's a very strange new way to describe things. Based.
Yeah. I always have to ask my kids about this. I'll be like, "Hey, so and so just called me this. Is that good or bad?" They'll be like, "That's good." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll let it slide."
The one gamer, inspiring philosophy would absolutely destroy that panel. He would. Dawa, please keep trying to convert as many Westerners as possible.
That would probably be my vote for a panel.
Same. As many Westerners as possible, like Sneakos, such that they can be exposed to Islam and that it continues to be discussed in public forum. Thank you in advance. And this is the thing, right? Lots of Muslims out there think that Sneako converting to Islam hurts us or is a good thing for Islam.
Isn't that weird?
Now, whether it hurts me or not is completely besides the point. Is it good for Islam? Definitely not. Definitely not.
No, and again, AP, we've done this before. We talk to each other behind the scenes, not on camera. You ever heard any of us like, "Oh no, Sneako, what are we gonna do now?" Oh, is it panic or is it, "Oh my goodness, this is the new the new guy"? Oh my goodness, no. I regard it as anytime you have these Andrew Tates or Sneakos converting, it's like a new opportunity to expose Islam because the Dawa guys want to use these new converts to do Dawa to their fans and lie to their fans. But we also get the exact same opportunity to now expose the lies to other fans who were just lied to. And so I'm willing to keep doing that. So you keep getting these, the Dawa guys, you can keep lying to these guys to get them to convert based on their ignorance. And then people will ask them why they converted, and they'll give all these stupid, completely idiotic reasons based on
I don't like pictures.
And there's only one Quran. That's true. I heard it from that guy, right? Great. And we get to expose the lies. But notice, look at what's going on. People are catching on more and more to the lies. I mean, people ridicule the claim that there's only one Quran now. Everyone's learning about Muhammad and Aisha. You can't keep covering it up. So Dawa guys, whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's destroying you.
Absolutely. People are already attacking Pearl. That's funny.
Why?
Yeah.
I thought she was nice here.
No. I mean, Muslims are attacking her.
Oh, okay.
Cedric said, David, with the fact that Farid did your Yasser Qadi test, and that was
great. That was
good.
Absolutely great.
It was cool. Go watch it over on David's channel. We reviewed that last week, and it was brilliant. Jacob Gardner said, would love to see a video of you and David discussing Christianity. I've been a potential revert of Islam for a while and have been navigating all points of views. Love these discussions. Thank you. I appreciate that. We ever I think we had a
We've
like a
had
discussion.
discussions about Christianity before. Maybe they're just thinking like one long, detailed discussion
Yeah,
of Christianity. We could do that. I'm not opposed to that. We could do that at some time.
We could. What I remember is
Hey,
what I
people be
think of is
humiliated.
we actually had a discussion, a lengthy one, when I came to visit you and we were
Mhm.
driving together back. We
Mhm.
actually had a long discussion about the existence of God, but it wasn't very much planned and structured. It was I still need to publish those things. I have so much footage that I recorded when I went to visit David that I have never published. So
We should have a discussion about Christianity, but we both act like Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah. No, you act like Ali Dawah and I'll act like Muhammad Hijab the entire time. That'd be awesome.
that would be fantastic. Yeah, we should debate Christianity, and I will destroy you and humiliate you.
Oh, someone is going to be humiliated. I agree.
Yeah.
Just said that. How many times are you going to post?
Sue January said, watch a talk between Hijab and Tate's creepy red pill business manager, sartorial shooter. Good times. I don't even want to do that to myself, to be honest. Why do you do this? Jonathan said Destiny is supposed to have a discussion with the Tates later this month. Destiny will end. Really? Wow.
He will. If they talk about Islam, he'll crush them.
He'll humiliate them. Man, it's Ashton said, do y'all think Trump will go to prison? Here's the thing. It doesn't even matter to the whole... why are we talking about this? But it doesn't even matter to the whole elections, because even if the charges are brought against him, it will never be concluded before his campaign and before his potential victory. So it doesn't really matter at this moment. But that's all I want to say about this topic. Why in the world would we talk about something so boring?
Yeah, I'll just say I don't know. It on the one hand, I would have to say probably not, just because that seems like extreme to do to a former president. But on the other hand, people are getting extreme, so I have no idea.
Yeah, if you want to hear about Donald Trump, go to some of those garbage channels like Tim Pool or whatever.
I've always thought that the vast majority of presidents were breaking the law, and I always thought they were getting away with it because they're president. Right?
Of course,
it's interesting. I actually find it interesting if they actually start locking dudes up.
I want to clarify. I was just joking when I said that Tim Pool is a garbage channel.
No, you weren't.
I don't think it's a garbage channel. I just think that he talks a lot of garbage, and I think it's a very terribly boring one.
Yeah,
I just wanted to
what do you got to
clarify
say to that? What do you got to say to that, Tim Pool? The only way you can refute him is to have him on your channel.
Yeah. Carlo Magno TV said, AP and David, what's a good movie you recommend with Muslim? I also want to add that I think he's quite a dork. But anyway, Carlo Magno TV said, AP and David, what's a good movie you recommend with Muslim history? Is there a good movie with Muslim history?
I don't know a good movie with Muslim history.
You can watch, there's this one show that started, but it didn't go on, but it's still supposed to go on. It's called The Prophet Tales. It's a cartoon.
That's probably the best one you can come up with.
Yeah, that's the best. Go and watch that. Tim Pool. Now people are talking about Tim Pool and talking trash about Tim Pool.
What's wrong with everyone? Everyone just likes attacking everybody else.
Yeah.
We're all about peace and love here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Yeah, terrible. Hitler was a Gnostic that hated Christians and praised Islam bigly. I don't think Hitler actually believed in any sort of properly established higher being. I mean, to him, religion was just a tool. As far as his man, Albert Speer, reported and wrote in his book, Hitler was a complete idiot who was one of those people who act like they know a lot about everything, but they are just filled with half information. And the people around him are, think that he's an idiot and think that lots of the stuff that he says is probably wrong, but they don't want to oppose him. So that's how he surrounded himself with these bunch of yes men who just say, yeah, whatever he says.
He seems like exactly the sort who would have been great at dawah, doesn't he?
Exactly.
Like he would have been the greatest da'i of all time if he lived now and was a Muslim.
Yeah, yeah, and his views on religion, he didn't know very much about religion, but his views were basically that Christianity was making Europeans and Germans lame and meek, and Germans needed a better religion like Islam, or Japanese religion like Shintoism, which would turn them into warriors. So,
And notice there's a parallel there with like the Andrew Tate mentality, where it's like, what is most convenient for what you want to accomplish in the
yeah,
world,
yeah,
right? Like, what do you like? It's all practical. So with Andrew Tate, it's like, oh, Islam is the only thing that can stand against the matrix and stuff like this, and go on a killing spree and kill all these people and stuff, and they're the only ones that'll kill you over making fun of their. So I'm going with them. He even described it in terms of, before he converted, he even described it as like betting on the stock market. Like, if I wanted to predict what stock is going to go up in terms of religion, it's probably the people that will kill you for leaving it and kill you for, for speaking against it and so on. And so I'm going with that. But that seems to be Hitler's idea. Like, oh, okay, I believe that we are superior to everyone else and should be conquering. What are the ideas that would unite us to allow us to conquer the world? And his thought was Islam would be way better at that than Christianity.
Hitler was a fruitcake is a very interesting way to describe Hitler. What was there? I just wanted to point out something here. A comment. Oh,
Ultra crepidarian. And that was a word that I used to take my test. I had to memorize that word for the SAT or whatever.
Will you make a video on Hitler's romance with Islam? I already made 2 videos in the past, one very long one, and one explaining what Carl Jung said about Hitler and how he compared Hitler to Muhammad. So I already made 2 of those. That was a long time ago, but I don't know. Talking about Hitler is always problematic, but also such low-hanging fruit, but also problematic. And I'm always there. Like, do I really want to talk about Hitler? But it's also so easy to talk about Hitler. And when you get into that loop, you don't want to get out because it's so much fun. Shepherd's Lamb said, AP, have you talked about what moment you had that made you leave Islam? What happened that made you realize it was wrong? It's very hard to remember what exactly what exactly was the final straw. But it was a very long process. Very, very long process. I questioned and thought about things and broke them down for many, many, many years. But there was one moment that I do remember, which I still have very clear in my memory, where I was going to visit my parents, and on the way, I'm quietly thinking a lot in my head, and just as I'm about to open the door, I told myself, okay, I'm there. I'm no longer a Muslim. So I told myself directly. I'm speaking to myself and told myself I'm no longer a Muslim. I don't believe in Islam. I don't believe in Allah. It's done. And that was that moment. That's how I see. Okay, I cut it off there, right there. What are you laughing about, David?
I thought it would, while you were saying that, I thought it would be funny, since people are asking and they want like a version of the full story. I thought it'd be fun. We should go to New York and walk through the subway like you're telling the story. And I'll just be recording you the entire time. You tell it as we're like on the train, and that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah. I'll make a testimony version of your video. That'd be funny. I've never been to New York. I should go there sometime.
I'll show you all over the place.
It sounds like a terrible place, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of cool. The main thing that sucked about it was it's not a great place for raising kids. I mean, I was in the Bronx, so it wasn't like, I mean, I grew up in West Virginia, so you playing in the mountains every day and stuff, and you don't have that in the Bronx. If it were like just me and my wife, it would have been a pretty cool place. But that was all before we left. Yeah, and apparently it's become like a nightmarish, dystopic hellscape after we left.
Yeah, that's just, of course, what you would say after you left it.
We got out of there right on time.
Yeah. Top Gun AP had seen the sun setting in his well at that time, I think. Yeah.
We should get a special effects guy to make the sunset in a pool and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like we titled the video "The Amazing Proof that finally convinced David Wood and the Apostate Prophet that Islam is true." And we're just walking along one day and we see the sunset in a pool. We're like, holy crap, he was right. The Quran has been confirmed.
Yeah. It was actually quite significant because my whole life I did think that the sun goes and sinks into a muddy spring, but then I went outside one day and I looked at the sun as it was going down, and I thought, wait a minute, this is not going into a. No, just kidding. But it did play a role in me leaving Islam, because after several times of reading the Quran, I keep stumbling on that, and I keep thinking it doesn't make sense. It's not metaphorical. It doesn't sound metaphorical. There is nothing metaphorical about it. Everything that is, all the words that are used in here clearly describe it as an actual thing that happens at a certain spot, as opposed to the other spot where the sun rises above people who don't have protection against it, and so on. And I'm trying to come up with excuses in my own head, and at the same time looking up scholars and how they explain it and reading things. And people are like, oh, okay, this makes sense to me. But I'm sitting there and think, no, this is nonsense. It doesn't make sense. And none of these explanations make any sense. It just clearly says there that there is a place in the world at the very west where the sun actually goes into a muddy spring. And it did some serious harm to my belief in the idea that the book is actually from Allah. Yeah. Sarah Walk said, I'm an ex-devil worshiper, and then Jesus showed himself to me in my bedroom, and now I'm willing to die for our Lord King God, Jesus Christ. Love you all, brothers and sisters, and I'm never going back. What do you mean, devil worshiper?
What do you mean mocking this person's accent the entire time?
That wasn't even intentional. I just started, and then it just went.
AP's like, oh, you left devil worshipping. Now I have to make fun of you.
I don't even know what Zero Walks means by devil worshiper, but I doubt that it was an actual devil worship. If you did, then you must be like very, very alone with that practice in your past, with maybe 2 other people in the world who also genuinely actually do that.
Jealous. This person's totally nice, former devil worshiper, and all you do is mock.
I'm not mocking.
Welcome to atheism, my friends. Mocking people's pain and progress.
No, congratulations, and nice of you.
That's better.
My wife said here, devil worshipping is pretty based.
that cracks me up when everyone's like, that's so base, and it's like it'll as often as not be like some horrible thing. I'm like, that's base. Like, what?
Yeah.
What do you think is based?
Yeah, based. It is funny. Nick Tham said, yesterday Nader, after a long nap, woke up and said to David Wood to have debate about biblical slavery.
Oh yeah, yesterday I was on a live stream and we were having a discussion there was a Muslim who's breaking down the different the ahruf and kirat, and we're asking questions and so on, but we were agreeing, and the guy was agreeing that it's problematic. Well, he was agreeing that it's false to say there are no variants and so on. And then, so the question we were discussing, but Nadir, he just wanted to derail everything so that we couldn't have that discussion. What about biblical slavery? And we're like, shut up, Nadir, come on. we're having a discussion.
You know what's so funny? I debated that guy, I think, twice on science issues many, many years ago. And it came up again. I don't even know if I had a third conversation with him about that stuff. But I said, you know what? I listened to you twice. I accepted your offer twice. I'm done with you. I have nothing more to debate with you. You are a complete waste of time to everybody. And everyone sees that. I mean, no Muslim owns Nadir. Everybody thinks that he's a complete idiot and has nothing to offer. And guess what? I told him several times no. And guess what? He just showed up again in my emails and is like, I heard you say you will debate any Muslim. So why do you not accept my challenge to debate me on science? Or are you scared again? What is wrong with this guy?
Yeah, Nadir is he's a narcissist. He's dying for attention. He's addicted to attention, but he doesn't have the ability to get the attention, right? He keeps like you have a bunch of narcissists in the Dawa community, but they have other things going for them, and Nadir just doesn't seem to have anything going for him. So it's like, why would we keep interacting? And it's the second you debate him, he instantly challenges you on another debate. And I even did it when we were in the middle of a debate, and I even wrote notes ahead of time saying, Nadir's going to say, let's debate this other topic. And he's going to do this during the debate. So we're in the debate, and then I challenge you to debate that. And I hold up the thing saying, I challenge you to debate. Right. So it's like, he's like predictable. And then I agreed to the extra debate challenge just because I wanted to see where he's going then, because my hypothesis was he's just going to keep issuing more challenges until you say, no, I'm not interested. So he can say, you see, he's running from me. So we're in a debate. He challenges me to another debate. I say, fine, we'll debate that. And then after that, he says, okay, well, what about a debate on this? And I go, I'm not going to agree to an endless series of debate. You see, he's running from me. And it's like, my goodness, man, what a joke.
If I cared that much about my ego, I would take that seriously and have a back and forth with him. But I'm not gonna. I don't care at all. Go play in our playground.
It's basically we have. There's no shortage of debate opportunities with Muslims. Most of the, your Zakir Nikes and so on, they don't want to debate. Your popular dais usually don't want to debate anymore. But newer people who are new to the Dawa scene, they'll frequently want to debate and so on, and happy to give them opportunities when we feel like it. But like, why are we going to keep having the same stupid debates with someone who is absolutely clueless when we could be debating other people who are more interesting?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Eddie Isa said, David, wasn't Muhammad also a cross-dressers?
That is debatable. Although I have to say, AP, matter of fact, you're hearing this right now.
Are you going to change your clothes now?
I've decided recently with all the, so we point out, because this is what's in their sources, we point out things like Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. And then over and over again, they'll say things like, but Isaac had sex with a 3-year-old. You have to be insane to read the text that way. There's like a 0% chance that she was 3 years old. The only thing you've got going for it is it doesn't mention her age. But the description of her, there is no way she was a 3-year-old girl. But they'll keep saying it. And so, and notice their tactic is, if you speak the truth about our prophet, then we'll lie about your prophets, even though we claim to respect the prophets and they're supposedly our prophets too. But they've just been trained to do this. And so I'm going to make a video here in the near future announcing that, all right, because you guys are approaching the Bible in this way and saying, Mary was 12, when you have no idea how old Mary was, and Rebecca was 3, and you have no idea how old she was, but she definitely wasn't 3. Since you guys keep doing that, and otherwise, since you guys are deliberately being deceptive, fine, you can do that, but I'm no longer giving you the benefit of the doubt on any of this stuff. In other words, you have things where, like, Muhammad was polygamous. That there's no disputing that. Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old girl. There's no disputing that from a Sunni Islam perspective. There are certain things where, when we're saying it, it's because that's what's in your sources. There are other things like the cross-dressing where Muhammad says, I was in Aisha's clothes. What does that mean? They'll say, it means blanket. It means house. It's a euphemism for something else. They'll make up all kinds of things. What it literally says is, I was in her clothes. Okay. So new rule on all of these issues: incest, child molestation, not just with girls, but with boys, and the tongue sucking things. All of these issues where in the past I would have said, okay, I'll say this, but I'm kind of joking because I'm not sure. Now I'm no longer going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say Muhammad was definitely gay. I mean, he had that dude smooching him up his side and lifting up his shirt so a dude could smooch him. Any of the incest stuff, cross-dressing, you are, not only am I no longer going to give you guys the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to tell everyone who pays any attention to me, do not lay these things down. Muhammad was gay. He molested both boys and girls. He was guilty of incest, cross-dressing, everything. Here are the sources where you could get that. Necrophilia as well, slept with his dead aunt. So necrophile, all that stuff. Cling to it. Do not back down. State it as indisputable fact, because that's what they're doing. And at the end of the day, we have much better evidence that Muhammad was a necrophile than Muslims have that Rebecca was 3. So if you're just going to state it, welcome to the new world, my friends. Don't
Which
whine
is
to me later.
interesting. I don't think that he was a necrophile. I don't think it can be read that way. I'm pretty sure David also thinks that that is the rather unlikely explanation. But yeah, if you want to play that game,
Yeah, the only thing, so it's, yeah, he went and laid down in the grave with his dead aunt and so on. But it's like I've heard that the word for sleep or lie is like the English word for, I slept with her or something like that, and that
Yeah.
it can refer to sex. And there is a certain logic of it. Like, hey, if I'm going to grant her paradise by making her my wife, then maybe you consummate the marriage. I don't know. Point is, the text isn't clear, and so normally we would just give the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, it's not saying he had sex, so I'm not going to conclude something that creepy. And all I'm saying is now I'm going to definitely conclude absolutely that creepy, no doubt about it. I'm going to state it as fact because of how you guys roll, and I'm going to keep doing that until you have a slight degree of integrity in your investigations. In other words, if you have a legitimate criticism of the Bible, I'm not going to cross any lines. If you start using a legitimate truth and you're truthful in criticizing it, when you are obviously lying, all right, you no longer get the benefit of the doubt on anything. Let's go.
so I really said I get so much done listening to you guys. I know that's why people are listening to us, because it increases their productivity. So thank you. This is actually a productivity channel and a productivity podcast.
We're super productive.
Yeah, super productive. Cyril Walk said, I used to pray to demons and research blood. He wants to clarify what happened.
Why
Research
do you keep using these weird voices when
I'm not using a weird voice. I'm just reading it. Right.
Sarah Walk says, I used to pray to demons. I researched
No, Sarah
blood
Walk says,
magic.
I used to pray demons and research blood magic, but never did it. But all I want was power. Then Jesus cleansed my pain and anger away. Thanks for clarifying. That makes more sense. Definitely makes more sense. I understand that. No, people do stuff like that.
We're more familiar with like devil worshippers who are doing it as like a joke, and they're actually like hedonists. But no, I have known actual devil worshippers.
No, there are some who actually do that, and there are some new religions that
I've seen them like
that.
doing like bird sacrifices and drinking blood and crap like that,
which is based, so
it's super based. Yeah, you're right. My wife said it. Devil worship is based.
I want to quickly address this, although it's not a super chat, but I just caught that. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God, they are corrupt, they have done abominable work, there is none that doth good. Psalms 14:1 APE, ? I read this long before I ever heard a Christian speak about this, and I did not for a single moment think that this is talking about atheists or people who don't believe that, who actually don't believe that there's a God. So I read this, and that was my initial reaction. I thought this is probably about people who detach themselves, especially in that environment, from the faith that they hold in God. That was my initial impression of it, and I'm pretty sure. I think that you even made a video about this.
I made a video out of this, and that you could certainly apply it. You could certainly apply it to atheists, but this is actually, especially when you compare what's said in the light of other psalms, it's very clear they're saying the same thing in Psalm 10, for instance. And it's clearly someone who believes in God, but then it's saying he says in his heart there is no God. Yeah. What is it talking about? This is making a very interesting point that you've got, because keep in mind how many atheists are there? 1,000 BC. The alternatives there are monotheism and polytheism. Those are the alternatives there. What are you talking about, atheists? The point that they're making in the Psalms is you can, so in today's terms, you go to church, but then later on you sin. And it's like, you sin when you think you're getting away with it. You don't sin out, hey, look at everyone I'm doing, right? You sin like you think you're getting away with it, but it's like, wait a minute, if you're a Christian, let's say, again, this would have been before Christians, but I'm saying the same would apply today. The reasoning, it's when you sin, whenever someone is sinning, they're basically acting like they can get away with this stuff. They're acting like, haha, no one sees me. And so what you're actually doing is you're saying, hey, there's no God, because there's no one watching me. There's no one who's ever going to hold me account for this sort of thing. And
Nobody's looking
I
at
think,
me.
yeah. So anyway, so you could include atheists because atheists would say, I can get away with this, but this is not direct. There's no way. I think there's no way this is actually directed at atheists. There weren't a thing.
There was not there was no such there was no such thing as atheism as we know it today in that day, as far as we understand it and know it. So it as said, I had this impression from the very beginning when I read that, and when I saw people post this, I thought, that's not what that means.
It's just a situation where if you just read that sentence, that sounds exact. It sounds like it's denying that, but then you read it and it's like, oh, it's talking about all these sins. And then if you read some of the other Psalms where they're clearly talking about people who definitely believe in God, nevertheless saying inside themselves that they're
plus it says no God. It says in his heart. You know, it's not like it talks about people who say that there is no God. It says that is what you say in your heart, and it's just a weird way to express that.
Yeah, so we can all agree that atheism is stupid, and that anyone who adheres to atheism is a fool. We can agree to that. Point is that I don't think that's what this psalm is saying.
Atheism is based, and
you should put that in a tweet. Atheism is based.
Man, my wife said AP is accountable to me. You see, Pearl was wrong.
Don't let Pearl see that.
Pearl was right. Sorry, was right. Yeah, I'm obeying.
That tweet by itself is gonna make Pearl convert to Islam.
Probably, rightly so. Mohammed Dune Hijab. I'm keeping that one. That's what the Egyptian atheist said, because he's an atheist. He says cool things. Shepherd Lamb said, except the only difference between two videos would be when he was in the deepest part of the subway. It was when he was the most devout in his life. Oh yeah.
Hey, or better yet, you could be sharing your story and then you get all the way to the bottom of the subway station, and then you say, that's when I became an atheist, but then you jump down on the tracks and they're like rolling around with rats, and you get run over by a train, and then I look at the camera and I go, welcome to atheism. Wow. I mean, classic.
Yeah. No, what happens in my video is I say, and obviously this is why I'm an atheist. What else would I be? And that's why I'm not afraid. And then I jump on the tracks and run around there and start partying and having fun or something like that. And then it turns into a music video where I start dancing and
Gangnam Style.
Guys, do you know about Mopus Milk River? Google it. Google it. Hexatus Quiditas said, didn't David run into devil worshippers in prison?
I did. Had some run-ins with them because they were trying to cast spells on me and stuff.
And those were the best memories from prison that David.
It was fun. It wasn't boring.
Yeah. Tick History has an interesting video on the mustache man's religion. If anyone is interested, also is David familiar with Günter Lühling? Are you familiar with Günter Lühling, David?
Nope.
You're not familiar with Günter Lühling?
No. Who is this Günter Lühling?
You don't know about Günter Lühling?
That could be an entire video. You don't know about Günter Lühling, you idiot!
His Minister of Fire said, I have DMs of Ali Dawa saying he surrendered to my debate arguments. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Nicholas Katsilas, David, well, you should debate Aaron Ra. He will never do that. David is terrified of Aaron Ra, so I doubt that it will ever happen.
I'm sure I will, because Aaron Ra and I both do debates with modern day debate, so I'm sure it'll happen at one of the debate cons in the future.
But it will never happen because David will back out because he's scared of Aaron Ra, as everyone is.
Aaron Ra will back out because he'll be too busy worshiping the devil to be based.
Thomas Villiger said, if you're open to exploring different perspectives on religion, I highly recommend Nancy L. Dennison. She also has some videos available here on YouTube. Make sure to give her work a look. Nancy L. Nancy. Why would I listen to somebody who's Nancy L? It's already implied. No, just kidding. I don't know who that is. I might have a look and see. But thank you for telling me. Light Yagabe. Wait a minute. Do I know about the Iranian sheikh who was whining about the closure of 50,000 mosques? I tweeted about it. I didn't even say anything. I just. I just laughed or something. I think. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I tweeted that too, but it sucks because when I just read about Iranian Sheik, I was thinking about the Iron Sheik who just died, Rustler. This is before your this is before your time. This is before your time. But when I was growing up, the Iron Sheik was pretty awesome. He did a move called the camel clutch, which I actually did in high school. I mean, not in high school, in junior high wrestling. I used the camel clutch on someone, and the coaches flipped out because I kept doing illegal moves.
That is funny. That is funny. It's been live for 3 hours.
Yeah, what the heck, man? End it.
Synced Entertainment said David with an APR equivalent to Superman and Batman. No, they're not as cool. Val T said Prophet Barak, the flying donkey, peace be upon him. I challenge Nadir on the debate of this topic. Zero Walk said, do you have to believe in the Trinity to be saved? According to David, yes.
No, I actually wouldn't say that.
Oh, okay. Dr. Hypnos said, hi, SRC, for a source for the necrophilia hadith. Why would you shorten something as short as source? Source for the necrophilia hadith for science.
That's a Consul Umul. It hasn't been, I mean, the collection hasn't been translated into English. You can find a translation of the passage, but just search for, did Muhammad sleep with his dead aunt? And you could get the source from Consul Umul. And you can see why we would say it's definitely debatable. It doesn't say he had sex with her or anything. It says he slept with her or laid down with her or something like that. But it's again, the argument would be, the reasoning is he's going to make her his wife and this guarantee her paradise. And so you can make the argument, which wouldn't use in the past, but now no compromise.
Eddie Issa said, AP, have you ever looked into any Christian apologetics? That's how I converted from nihilism.
Yeah, you should get to know a Christian apologist.
I mean, I looked into some. All the Christian apologists that I know who call themselves Christian apologists are very lame and boring people. I did look into Christian apologetics.
Hey, you mentioned, was this last week when you're talking about how Muhammad Hijab approaches you and like, oh, you could have so much influence if you'd be so popular, you'd be. Yeah, everyone would love you if you converted. Can you imagine, like, if I was coming to you, AP, you can make so much money if you converted to Christianity? It's like, what's wrong with these guys, man?
I know it's funny that they actually. You know what's hilarious? So Muhammad Hijab did approach me and offer that whole thing, like, if you come back to Islam, you will be very successful. People will love you. And what's funny is they often tell us about Muhammad that Muhammad was a prophet. He obviously didn't have any selfish intentions because in his time the polytheists, they told him, just stop doing what you're doing. We will give you everything. We will give you riches and this and that. But he rejected it. That's what they say all the time about Muhammad. And then they come and think that's how they can convince people in our time.
Yeah, like, it's funny. It's funny that it's like built into their thinking. Like this is how you win people.
Yeah,
guys, just so you know, Muslim da'is, we understand that we would be showered with wealth and women and everything else if we converted and say, oh yeah, after years of criticizing Islam, we realize it's true because the perfect Quran, and plus we don't like pictures. We understand that there are more important things in life.
Yeah. Eddie Issa, I read this already, but I wanted to say one thing about Eddie Issa. So Eddie Issa said that's how I converted from nihilism. I want to say one thing about nihilism, which is that nihilism is very much how would you say, what would you say about that? It's like it's not even a real thing. It's a boogeyman, basically. It's like every philosopher in the history, which is, by the way, a huge exaggeration, but people have used nihilism always as this scapegoat of as this enemy picture of, those people are nihilists. That person is a nihilist. This one is a nihilist. You have very rare instances of somebody actually describing himself as a nihilist. Even Nietzsche criticized nihilists, despite the fact that he himself thinks that morality is a human construct and that humans should move beyond morality. But what he argues, for example, is that killing God results in a society where you learned to have morals only from God, but then you somehow land in this state of nihilism where nothing really matters, and that is a dangerous state to be in, and you have to move beyond that and establish a proper a proper aim in life and all that.
Yeah, he's the one who said we have to become gods ourselves in order to make sense of this stuff. But he also believed in like will to power, and so he was goal directed. There's stuff to do, and then eternal recurrence. People have suggested that was just a thought exercise, like everything you've ever done. What if it's going to happen over and over again for all eternity? You cool with that? But my professor, who was one of my professors, who was a Nietzsche scholar, said that they found in his notebooks that he was actually trying to defend it. He was trying to come up with defenses of it, like scientifically, like everything you do is going to like happen over and over and over again. So yeah, I wouldn't consider him a nihilist, but I was definitely a nihilist. But again, that is rare because people usually find meaning in something. It's rare to just say this is all pointless to the point of being a sick joke, and it doesn't matter if I live, doesn't matter if I die, doesn't matter if I kill a million people, help a million people. It's all totally pointless. But AP, you have it right here. You see what Christian apologetics can do, so quit dodging it.
Yeah, terrible. Just a few examples to think of. Nietzsche,
oh my goodness, he's still going.
Nietzsche, Jean-Paul Sartre, who else? Albert Camus are some examples of people who rejected whole idea of right, who rejected whole idea of morality as you understand it, but they are not. But they identify a different meaning in life based on other issues. Nobody actually really accepts the whole idea of everything is meaningless. Hexatus Greta said you two should finish your morality debate on MDD. We will come back to that. Mercedes
the vast majority of the delays were my fault, but I can say I'm
it's
ready.
All his fault.
But right now AP is not in a video, which that was part of the reason for the delay, was I was just not in video mode, whereas now AP is not. So I'm saying whenever you get back on track, AP, yes, we can finish that.
That means he's scared of me. Mercedes F1 fan said if anxiety and psychopathy if we were in a room together. Yes. So what? What are you going to do, man? What are you going to do?
Yeah. Bring it.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. David has to go, and I want to keep him here for a little bit longer, so please make more super chats. Just kidding. Thanks, David. Anything else that you want to add before we depart?
Yep. To everyone who threatens Pearl over anything, mess around, find out. That's all I'm saying.
RJ said, by the way, Camus, don't read it if you're depressed. That's especially when you should read it. That's when you should read The Stranger by Albert Camus.
And do a bunch of drugs.
Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day. We will see you again tomorrow and the next week, and on David's channel, and on many different more occasions. And I will also have a video coming out now. Have a fantastic day as always, and listen to this man who is about to say some very interesting words.
Stay away from Islam.